Hello and welcome back to another edition of TB3 Sports Talk. I'm Colby, I'm with Will, and I'm also here with my Lightning insider, Cameron. And we're right here and we're going to talk some Bolts. This is kind of a TB3 holiday, if you will. We got Bolts, we got Rays, and we got Bucs all on the menu for an episode. What a special day for us. Just like last week, I'm excited, but I mean, these teams this week didn't really make me that excited. I can't lie.
Yeah, I mean, the Bolts got us fired up yesterday, but outside of that, I mean, the draft, it was interesting. There's some good picks.
That was probably the brightest part of the week, honestly.
I don't know. We'll get into
it.
Maybe. But then there's definitely the Rays, and that kind of ruined it for weeks.
Yeah, we'll get into the Rays. That was something
nights.
else. Yeah, that was rock bottom, and then we're getting lower, apparently, is what the Rays was this week. But, Cam, what's up, man? What you feeling like right now?
Disappointed, honestly. Not happy with the start they got off to. Really shaky. I mean, we obviously know Game 1 is very important. We lost that. Then going into Game 2, that was pretty big, dropping that. And then Game 3, obviously going down 3-0. Defense is, that's what we're mainly lacking right now. I mean, in Game 2, we were able to force overtime. That was at least a big positive that we were able to, hang in there as well. We got a goal from Stammer, and then we got Pointer. So, being able to at least, have them know that, hey, we're able to hang in this and not, just fall down. I was kind of wishing, Game 3 that I'd give them a little bit fire, but, they just went out there and, they were just playing lazy. Honestly, they, I think it was almost 14 turnovers. Obviously that's horrible. And then Tanner Jeannot, he had that nice little deflection right to him, gave him an easy goal. Not what you want to see. And then, excuse me.
I know I said this a few episodes ago. I know you remember this because when we bring up the TB3 quotes in a month or two, when we play that game again, I said if the Lightning, if this core doesn't win another cup, you can look at the Tanner Jeannot trade and see that's the reason. That was a bad trade from JBB, and yeah, it reared its ugly head in that game where the game-winning goal was off of Tanner Jeannot's stick.
Yeah. There's a lot of downsides, a lot of sad things that happened this week, but at least we're not sitting here talking about the end of the Lightning season.
And you know what?
It's still going on, and it's not over till the fat lady sings.
Oh my! I was just about to say that. You know what I was about to say? You know what I was about to say? Well, I was gonna be like, did you hear that? Me neither. I didn't hear any fat lady sing. The Lightning are still in it, but we're gonna go game by game. We've been doing this all year. We got 3 games to cover. Last episode was episode 35. If you're on YouTube and you're like, where the heck is that? That's because we're having some technical difficulties, but the episode is on Spotify. So if you're looking to see what we were talking about last week, Rays, Bucs, Lightning, it's on Spotify, episode 35. It was a good episode, just me and Will, but it was a good episode. Give it a listen on Spotify. If you're on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and comment. Do you believe the Lightning can make history and tie up and then win this series in the first round against the Panthers? But we're going to go game by game. We're going to start in Game 2. That was, we did Game 1 already. Check out. That was my point.
Yeah,
Check
we
out
should probably...
Check
out because there's some people who are religious when it comes to like what platform. We should probably put the audio only on YouTube.
Maybe we'll see. We'll figure it out. But
they want to get our insides. It was a pretty good episode.
It was a good episode. We will see what happens, but just know it's on Spotify right now. If you don't see it on YouTube, just know it's on Spotify right now. But we covered Game 1 in the episode. Now we're rolling to Game 2 in Florida. Big game. Can the Lightning steal one on the road? I think you guys already know the answer, but we'll get into the recap. Another sad, lousy first period for the Lightning as Sam Bennett got the Panthers on the board with his first goal of the playoffs about 6 minutes in, and then Vladimir Tarasenko gets a power play goal to put the Panthers up 2-0, and that would be the score at the end of the first. 2-0 Panthers, another very, very poor first period for the Lightning. And then we move on to the second, and the Lightning struck back as Braden Point got a beautiful deflection goal in front of the net for his first goal of the playoffs, makes it 2-1 Lightning. And then about 4 minutes later, Steven Stamkos on the power play. Oh, captain, my captain. He's been amazing this series, and he ties up this game 2-2. And then the third period, there's a lot of stuff going on. Power plays, high sticks, blood, great chances. Oh, I'll go back. In the second period, Sergei Bobrovsky made the most insane save I've ever seen in my life. Can't believe he made it. It was pretty lucky. It was pretty lucky, but I mean, it's an all-time great save. Unfortunately, I mean, it sucked. That should have been 3-2 Lightning, but you got to give credit to Bob and gotta curse the puck luck gods. They don't exist, but you got to curse the puck luck. But going to the third, like I said, a bunch of different opportunities, power plays, high chances, breakaways, all that stuff. Big saves, both sides, but no one would score. We are headed into overtime, and an old friend, an old Lightning legend, Carter Verhaeghe, 3 minutes in, drags it across the blue paint, backhanded, scores, and the Florida Panthers take this one 3-2 in overtime.
Yeah, this was tough because you look at how bad the Lightning played in the first game and fast forward to the second, and it really wasn't that much better. But you kind of had hope because the Panthers weren't really getting the best of the Lightning. This game was 2-2 for a long time, and it goes into overtime, and the Lightning just weren't able to get it done. But I think the biggest thing too is dropping down early, which is what they did again. I think that's kind of one of the things we talked about this whole season. Is you're going to have a tough time trying to come back in every single game. And John Cooper even said it in the post game conference that you can't have that happen. So, but this game it gave me a little hope because like I said, the Lightning did not play that well, but they took it into overtime. Take it what you will. That's kind of my opinion. What are your thoughts, Cam?
Yeah, I agree with that. Taking it overtime definitely proves you're able to hang, but the Lightning there. The whole game, the defense was not anywhere to be seen because usually, you have Victor Hedman, Nick Perbix, Emil Littleberg, they're always staying at the point, making sure they're able to get in. They kept on, going down to the hash marks, into the face-off circles, and that would force a 2-on-1. And the Panthers, in the first period after intermission, saw that, they discussed it, and they came out hot, and we kept, having to go on 2-on-1s. And, most of the times those ends up, putting up a goal for their team. So it's just a lackluster defense. And then we were able to put up 2, which was good, and then, like you said, push into overtime. But yet again, in overtime, we just weren't helping out Vasi. Our defense was horrible, and, that's what leads to a win right there and just letting them walk it in.
Yeah, and this game could have been a lot different, too, because Andrei Vasilevsky had to make 34 saves in this game. And thanks to him, we even got to overtime.
Yeah.
Because the defense was very bad.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the goaltender stole the show in this game. Both sides, obviously Vazzy had to face more shots, like Will said, 34 saves, 37 shot attempts. And going back to what you said about overtime felt a lot like the first period. I mean, the Panthers got whatever they wanted to start it off, and you were hoping the Lightning would be able to stem the tide and get past that first wave. But this is the NHL playoffs. It's the Stanley Cup playoffs. This is, a huge game. You don't want to go down 2-0. That puts a lot of pressure on the next game, which we see comes back to bite the Lightning. You cannot come out in overtime flat, and that's what the Lightning did. It was not a good showing. Again, felt a lot like the first period where they couldn't clear the puck. There was defensive miscues. That's what led to the goal. If I'm not mistaken, it was Lilberg in this game who made a defensive mistake that leads to the scoring opportunity. And Carter Verhaeghe is a good player. The Panthers are loaded with good players. They're gonna bag these goals. It's just what they're gonna do. And you look back to the first period. These have been tone-setting periods for the whole playoffs for the Lightning, and this was another tone setter of bad for the Lightning. First period, they have 4 shots on goal. I think it was 13-1 at some point. The Panthers advantage in shots on goal, and you're down 2-0. And it's just you spend so much energy and emotion in the second period trying to come back from that deficit. That's hard to close it out. So the Lightning, if they want any chance to make history coming up, I know we're going to get into these other games, but we know, I think all of the listeners right now know what the Lightning are facing, the deficit they're in. They have to come up with big first periods, or they're just not going to make it much longer in this season.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think, too, overtime is so big, and it kind of plays off to the point where you're spending so much energy trying to just get back in this game and not go down 2-0 that by the time overtime comes, you're gassed. And you look at the Lightning, they've lost 11 of their last 12 postseason overtime games, which is not very good. And then you look at the Panthers, who have had kind of more recent success than the Bolts. They've won 11 straight in overtime. So you got to be able to figure it out, and you can't be having to battle back down 2-3 goals. And now you're in desperation mode. I mean, we'll get to it here, but down 3-1, you can't have a bad period. You can't afford to have it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we move on. Another thing I'd like to talk about is the Lightning power play. Specifically in this game, Game 2, the Lightning had a 4-minute double minor for hide sticking in the third period. 4 minutes of the power play, 4 minutes of a lot of puck control, and they weren't able to capitalize. They didn't get a goal. I think they only had 1 or 2 shots on net. They were way too cute, too much passing on the power play, not hitting the net on the opportunities and shots they're given. And this has kind of been a theme of this series. The Lightning, the Panthers' penalty kill has stifled the Lightning, and I think it's just frustrating. I don't know what your thoughts on that are Cam, but
yeah,
you know.
and like you said about the power play, the passing of it, that's what drives me crazy because obviously Nikita Kucherov is a 100 assist, player this year. He had a good milestone. And so he's always been kind of the guy running the power play. We all kind of feed around him. He usually puts it up to Hedman, then Hedman to Stammer one time. All these are different ways. And, there's been multiple times during that power play where Kuch had a look, but he just went ahead and passed it. And I think that's ultimately what killed the power play. We were really killing it ourselves more than the Panthers were killing it for their team. So, if we could, the more shots, the better, too. 2 shots during a 4-minute power play, I mean, that's just not a good look. And, the Panthers see that, and then, of course, they're going to build off of that. And, that just ruins momentum for us.
Mm-hmm. That's a huge momentum boost if you're able to shut something down like that, and the Lightning got to do a better job on their power play.
Sorry. It's kind of like, I think we were talking about it, Joel was a few weeks ago. It's kind of like you get a 5-on-3 power play. If you don't score on that power play, you're not going to win the game. You get a 4-minute power play in the third period. At that point, it felt like once you can't convert that, you're not going to win this hockey game. You're on the road. It's a golden opportunity to take the lead and put the pressure on Florida, and you just don't do it. And I completely agree with Cam. I think Nikita Kucherov is not shooting the puck enough. We mentioned this last episode, but that's part of what made him so great this season was he was a 40-plus goal scorer, and he was shooting the puck more. That was something that he added to his game this year. It's something that helped him open up the power play, opened up the 5-on-5, the threat of him shooting, and he's kind of reverted back to it in this playoffs. And I think I don't know. I can't speculate. I know a lot of people have, but there's something wrong with Cooch right now. I know before Game 3 he missed the morning skate around, so I think there's something wrong with his health, or I mean I'm assuming it's health, but not having 100% Kucherov, whether it's physically or mentally, maybe, I don't know, has been a real big hindrance for the Lightning in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, do we have anything else in this game?
No, let's get the bad ones out of the way and get to the good ones, but have to cover Game 3, unfortunately.
We do. We have to cover Game 3. The Lightning would head back to Amalie Arena for the first playoff game in there this season. And this is a big one. The Panthers have a 2-0 series lead. The Lightning want to do everything they can to avoid going down 3-0. This feels like almost a winner-go-home game for the Lightning, but it isn't. It isn't officially, but we'll see what happens. In the first period, the Lightning again come out flat. The Panthers would get a goal in this first period to make it 1-0. This would be Matthew Tkachuk would start the scoring for the Panthers, and the Panthers would go into the second 1-0. But then the Lightning were able to finally gain some momentum. Steven Stamkos got his third goal of the series about a minute in to tie the game up 1-1. And then Tyler Mott, a PK legend, gets a goal assisted by Tanner Janot to make it 2-1 Lightning to give them their first lead of the series. However, the Lightning were not able to get more in this run they had, and the Florida Panthers are a heck of a team, and they punch back. Sam Reinhart would get his second goal of the series to tie it up about 10 minutes in, and then 7 minutes later, Brandon Montour would get another goal to put the Panthers up 3-2, headed into the third, and kind of take the wind out of the Lightning's sails, I think. And then in the third period, a fourth-line goal for the Panthers. Lorentz would score his first of the playoffs and make it 4-2 Lightning to kind of feel like an unattainable gap for them. However, Nick Paul would get on the board in the playoffs to make it 4-3 with about 5 minutes left. You're hoping for some miracles from the Lightning, but Matthew Tkachuk would get another goal with the empty net to make it 5-3 and salt this game away. Unfortunately, the Lightning would lose this one 5-3 and go down 3-0 in this series.
This one was just frustrating, man. I feel like the Lightning played with a little more juice this game. I think he saw the shot count go up, and I think they were a little better offensively. But I'd say the first period was so frustrating because of that stupid offsides that took the goal off the board. And then right before the intermission, Stamkos gets robbed. So you think you're down 1-0, but easily could have been 2-1. To kind of put it out of reach. Thankfully, Lightning were able to get something going in the second period, but yeah, just frustrating. That's my initial thoughts. What about you, Cam?
Yeah, this game, I had mixed emotions. This game made it hurt a little bit, and it made me extremely mad. The thing that got me very frustrated was towards the end when, Coach Sean Cooper made the decision to pull Vasi with almost 3 minutes left. That was not the Panthers are such a good team on the forecheck that they will instantly get the puck if you enter the blue line on an awful push. And then Nick Paul being on the third line this game just really kind of frustrated me too because he's such a good player. But this whole season I feel like he's been not able to prove himself because he's been on these lower lines, and especially in the playoffs here, he's one of the best guys that we have right now that's puck battling and walking away with these. And I feel like they're not giving him good ice time, and then I feel like we're just again defenses. It was a little better this game, but they just let the Panthers walk around in the offensive zone too long, and they were able to strike too many on the board, and we weren't able to come back as well.
To go off your first point there, I really have problems with that. I feel like that happened in game 1 too, where they pulled Vasi way too early. I think when it's because I know they scored after, but a 2-goal game, 3 minutes. I mean, at least in the first one, because it was a 1-goal game.
It was a 1-goal game in this one.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. 1-goal game, 3 minutes. That's pretty crazy to pull your goalie that early.
I will have to rebuttal with the fact that the Lightning been doing this all year. This has been John Cooper's his MO, and I get it. It's the playoffs. I get it, but I'm a firm believer in when you get to the playoffs, you don't change what you do. And I think the Lightning have been doing this all year. They've had success with it. They've been able to get tying goals with the net empty. And I think this is John Cooper's mentality. This is his strategy. This is what the Lightning are used to. So while I don't know if it's the best idea in general, I don't know if he should be pulling goalies out this early, and this might be something they want to change next year going into 2025. But if you've done it all year, I think you should continue to do it in the playoffs, and that's why I don't have a problem with it.
I mean, I feel like it's a little different, though, when you're playing, Ottawa on a Tuesday night, you're trying to get a point for the standings. But when you're playing in the playoffs, especially like Cam said, such a good team like the Panthers, that's a recipe for disaster. And we saw twice now that they were able to get the tying goal, but then couldn't because they gave up an empty netter. Couldn't get it to overtime. I
agree. I think the reason the Lightning pull their goalie so early is they have such good players with controlling the puck. I mean, you look at Hagel, Point, Kucherov, Stamkos. They're really good at holding onto the puck, not getting stripped, not getting checked off the puck. But that hasn't been the case this series. The Panthers forecheck has outmatched the puck handling of the Lightning. So in that sense, I think it would have been smarter because you're used to having this ability for these players to hold onto the puck, to control in the corner, to make a move around defenders in tight situations. But they haven't been able to do this series. The forecheck for the Panthers has been stronger than the Lightning puck control. And in that sense, I think that you can make a point for it being too early of a goalie pull. And as we move, as we kind of stay on the forecheck because we're on the same wavelength here, is the Panthers got 2 fourth-line goals in this game. That is, completely a product of your forecheck. That's what your fourth line's in there to do. We're used to, what was it, Patty Maroon. Who else was on that fourth line? They would just muck it up. In the past, the Lightning fourth line, they would just muck it up and try to get ugly goals, and that's what the Panthers did. And the Lightning have to be better at clearing the puck out of their zone. It's a huge problem. It has nearly killed them this series. They had 14 giveaways in this game. That is unacceptable for a playoff game. It's defensemen, it's forwards, it's centers, it's all of them, but it's mostly defensemen. The puck clearing has got to be better. It's been abysmal, and that's the biggest reason I think they lost this game.
Yeah, and to add on to that is, Game 4 is obviously different. We're going to get to that in a minute, but our physical presence has not been there at all in these first 3 games. We weren't hitting, we weren't puck battling, we were kind of lay-off-ish. And when the Panthers, they're such a great team, when you let them get control and, are more physical than you, they're obviously going to put, 3, 4, 5 on the board, So I think the physicality part of these first 3 games was absolutely horrendous. And I know John Cooper, obviously, in the press conferences, if you go watch him, he was not very happy. He was saying, if we're not going to be physical, then, there's no point of even trying. Because if the minute you use your physicality to Chuck, Verhaeghe, and Reinhardt, those guys are instantly just going to, go in and score. So the physicality part didn't definitely not make me happy as well.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the Lightning have done a pretty okay job defensively, physical-wise. I think they've been hitting. The hit count's been over 50 in multiple games. But when they have control of the puck, or in the neutral zone, their physicality is not as good away from the puck. And when it's not immediately trying to defend a Panthers player, the physicality, trying to control the puck, because they're just getting stripped. They're getting stripped so easily. It's like I'm watching myself hit RB, spam it on Chell. That is, the Lightning they're not doing a good job controlling the puck, and it's weird. It's players that I don't usually see get stripped. It's Sorelli, it's Hagel, it's Kucherov. They're getting poked like it's a pickup basketball game. It's crazy. It's crazy to see, and I think it's due to a lack of physicality and strength with the puck. And I think you think of physicality, you think of hitting, you think of making sure no one gets in front of your net, which the Lightning have done a pretty good job. I think better than I expected them to this series, but they're losing all their physicality and they're turning the puck over, and it can't happen. If they want any chance of coming back in this series, they have to flip that on its head. They just have to.
They definitely have to be more physical. I'd say still on both sides of the puck, because I think this game they just shot themselves in the foot. And, like you said, they just weren't able to do anything. And there's so many times where they're just stuck in their own zone. And again, you wear these guys down, and then you're going to give up goals, and we saw that too much, especially on that fourth line. So,
all right, we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Let's roll to Game 4. The Lightning were facing elimination. It feels early to say that in the series. It's been since 2019 since the Lightning have been swept. I think they've only been swept twice in John Cooper's tenure, and they were trying to avoid that in this first-round series against their in-state rival. They got Game 4, Amalie Arena. Still a sold-out crowd. The fans did not abandon. They're here, and they were loud this game. And a huge storyline for this game is Mikhail Sergachev. Broke his leg, gnarly injury in February, is back by April to play some playoff hockey and contribute to this Lightning defensive depth. What an inspiring story, and the Lightning came out inspired as 8 minutes in, Steven Stamkos, that man again, oh captain, my captain, a power play goal to make it 1-0 Tampa. And then about 4 minutes later, we'll flip that over. A shorthanded goal from Brandon Hagel, one of the best penalty killers in the league, shows his muscles. 2-0 Lightning. And then Braden Point, his second goal of the playoffs. It's 3-0 Lightning after the first. This is what we've been asking for the whole series. Let's go. And then in the second period, the Panthers punch back. They are a heck of a team. I cannot stress that enough. Carter Verhaeghe just tormenting us, gets his third goal of the playoffs, 3-1 Lightning. Then Brandon Hagel gets the second goal of the game to make it 4-1, assist to Mikhail Sergachev. Shout out. And then the Panthers would get 2 in a row. Sam Reinhart on the power play and Oliver Ekman Larson on 5-on-5. It's 4-3 Lightning headed into the third. In the third period, the Lightning put their foot down and said, we are not going home tonight. Steven Stamkos, another goal, his 5th of the playoffs. It's 5-3 Lightning. And then Nick Paul on the power play puts the game away. It's a 6-3 Lightning victory. And we're not going home yet, boys.
Yeah, this game, it kind of was like, this is how you should have been playing the whole time. You know what I'm saying? Dominant power play, getting a lot of shots, playing solid for periods 1 and 2 mostly, and then the third kind of fell off. But we've been wanting to see this brand of Lightning hockey, and we finally got it. And I think the big credit to Steven Stamkos, man. 2-goal night, absolutely dominant. I love how he got a reverse hit. I can't remember who it was. Gets a little reverse hit on somebody. But yeah, I think you play this type of hockey, man, you can come back easily. Because I don't think the Lightning have played anywhere near close to how they played in this game.
No. I mean, that game was actually, it felt like watching back in 2021 when, they were just dominant. And, because everyone was doing everything right. We were forechecking well. We were making sure the Panthers were caught off guard. We weren't screening our own goalie. We were actually passing the puck, but, when, the time was right, we'd actually shoot the puck, and, we were able to get the rebounds and everything. We were hitting. And, of course, Mikhail Sergachev coming back was very big. The fans loved it. I think that atmosphere kind of in general, I think the players seeing the fans there too, knowing like, hey, we're down 3-0, but, all these fans are showing up. I think that kind of gave them, hey, we're still in this, and, it's not done yet. So I think that kind of gave him a little bit of boost too. And then Stamkos, I mean, he's just been amazing so far this series. He's been almost the best I've seen him probably in last 2 years in the playoffs. So I think this was a very good game. I think this could definitely be the turnaround in the series here, and it was to show the Florida that, we're not done yet, and now this is the Tampa Bay Lightning you can expect for the rest of the series.
Yeah, it's weird to see Stamkos being the best player in the Lightning in the playoffs. No knock to him, but he's definitely doesn't have the playoff track record that some of our other players do. But, I mean, he's been phenomenal this series. 5 goals, an assist, 6 points, tied for the lead on the team for the playoffs. And he's not just scoring. I know that's something that everyone's, he's only going to power play anymore. He's not good 5-on-5. He's been great 5-on-5. He's controlled the puck. He almost saved the game 3. He blocked an empty net goal. Heck of a play. I mean, just an incredible play. And he's been everywhere. He's been just phenomenal. He's been the captain we needed him to be. And it's exciting to see him do this. It's, motivation to sign him to the big contract that he's probably going to want. Or at least, I don't know what he's going to want. We don't have to talk free agency. We're not done yet. But just, it's been great to see. It's been a breath of fresh air. And then, just this period, the other breath of fresh air was 3-goal first period. This is what we've been asking for. Come out the game like your life depends on it. And they finally did it when their life did depend on it. Come out of the gates with some swagger, with that championship mentality that we've been harping on all season, that has kind of brought us back with the Lightning over and over. And this was a great period. This was the energy they needed, and then they backed it up in the third period. They just would not be denied. This was the Lightning. They put their foot down. They were going to win this game. They're going to win this game 10 out of 10 times. The way they played with that mentality.
Yeah, Stamkos electric, because he's not only the leader in goals for the team. I know there's some games going on right now throughout the league, but as of right now, he's second in the NHL for goals in the playoffs. He's just behind Val Nichushkin, I think, on Colorado. So, but he has 6. Stamkos has 5. So he's right up there. More goals than just about everybody in the entire playoffs. So that's huge. The first period was huge. I think the biggest thing was getting that power play goal by none other than Steven Stamkos. The Lightning were struggling so much this series on the power play. Going into this game, Florida was killing the Lightning power play 83% of the time in 3 games. So I think just getting that goal, having a successful power play really sparked them for the rest of the period.
Yeah, and I almost think this felt like a Game 7, I think, to most fans and the players, too. And to, show out and dominate like that was obviously pretty huge. And after the game, John Cooper, actually in the locker room, there was a video of it. And what he says is it's just like 2022 because in the second round when they ended up sweeping the Panthers. So I think, the players, they definitely know that they can definitely get a hold of the series and end up taking it. It's just a matter of doing everything the same how we did that game, the forecheck, the defense, the offense, catching everyone off guard, making smart plays, not just handing the puck over. If they can do that, I think there's a real shot that we could see history.
Yeah, and it was feeling a little bit magical at the end. I'll say, the crowd was electric. Oh, yeah. You got Mikhail Sergachev making this freaky, insane recovery, just so fast, so inspirational. The great quotes, and then you have the great, the one-liner by John Cooper after Game 3. If you don't believe, don't show up. And it was feeling magical at the end. It really was. If anyone in my life that I root for, if any team could do something magical, like come back from this, it's the Lightning. We know it's the Lightning. They have the track record. They have the players. They have the history, just like Cameron said, of sweeping the Panthers. So why not just reverse sweep them? We're just trying to take the Panthers out in the most painful ways possible because they're our rival. But in all seriousness, I think it was feeling like magical. And I think as we look ahead, man, don't let the Lightning win Game 5. The Bucs will get clinched if you let the Lightning win Game 5 in Florida. That's the truth, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think before we get any deeper, I can't iterate enough how great the crowd was. Shows you how great our fans are. We have probably the best fans in the NHL because I don't care who you are. It's pretty tough to get riled up for a game when you're down 3-0 in a series. But you guys, you Lightning fans, showed out great. And you can give yourself credit for how the Lightning played in this game.
Yeah, as we look ahead, one note I put down. Before we get positive, let's get negative. There's only one Lightning with a positive plus minus in this series. Let's play a game. Who do you guys think it is? Will.
The one player with the positive plus minus?
You're not going to get it.
Okay, give me a hint.
It's
offense.
He's a defenseman.
Defenseman. Cameron, you go first. I got to think.
Okay. I'm gonna go Eric Chernak.
Oh, it's Chernak.
It's Eric Chernak. He got it. He gets the points. I feel like I shouldn't have given the defenseman hint. But yeah, he has a +2. Everyone else is either a 0 or a negative. So that's just my little fun fact about this series. Need to get some leads. But looking ahead, the Lightning have a near impossible task in NBA. But in the NHL, it has happened. 4 teams in the history of the NHL have come back from a 3-0 series deficit. The 1942 Toronto Maple Leafs might not be able to get a lot of film from them. The 1975 New York Islanders.
A war going on.
Just like the. Oh man,
like
I can't think of World War II good.
The girl baseball movie. There's no crying in baseball.
Own.
Yeah, is that what they were doing?
Okay, that's the average Toronto Maple Leaf. That's what Mitch Marner is, basically. All right, that's a shot. The 1975 New York Islanders, they came back. And then we got more recent. We got the 2010 Philadelphia Flyers and the 2014 Los Angeles Kings. I know you love the Kings, man.
I love the Kings.
I love the Kings. So there's four examples of it. 2 very modern examples of teams reverse sweeping their opponents. So it's possible. This is happened. I know if you're an NBA fan, you're used to seeing that stat. If it's never happened, that is true in the NBA. But in hockey, it's happened. Hockey is a huge sport based on momentum. We've seen the Lightning go on streaks like this all year. It's been what they do. They go up and down. They go on winning streaks. They go on losing streaks. And who's to say they don't go on another winning streak? So there's some signs, I think at least. I know we're Lightning fans. We're going to be a little biased. But I think there are some signs pointing towards a possibility of it's not over yet. This could be a really good series.
Yeah, and that's where I get my hopes up the most, because you look at games 1 through 3, and I said this, that was not the best Lightning or even the average Lightning games that we've seen this whole year. I think the team mightily underperformed. But then you look at, even as bad as they played, I mean, the Panthers didn't do anything special. We didn't get run out of the arena in any of the games. You think we were so close to getting to overtime in game 1. We sent it to overtime in game 2, and we lose.
You were close to going to overtime in game.
Yeah, you could even say it for game 3. So we were right there, and we didn't even play that good.
No.
Didn't even play that good. And you get a spark like this. You get a huge win. I think Sergachev coming back was huge, and now he can – it's not even him just coming back. He can actually contribute defensively, which is what we desperately need.
The depth has been lacking. Yeah. Even if he plays 10 minutes of ice time, that depth is so valuable to the Lightning right now. That's been their biggest problem, is defenseman depth all year and in this playoff series.
Oh, yeah.
So, Cameron, I'll ask you, if you had one key for the Lightning to get back in this series, especially Game 5, because I think Game 5 – obviously, every game is huge. It's an elimination game. But Game 5 is the game where you could really make it tense. I think you win Game 5, you almost feel like you're guaranteed to win Game 6 with that home crowd behind you. So what would be your one key for the Lightning to win Game 5 coming up?
I would come out straight out the game, period 1, and I just come out really hot and with a lot of fire and very physical. Even that if that involves Tanner Jeannot, our guy all year, dropping the gloves, or Austin Watson, drop the gloves, get the ball, go over to the bench, and throw the hands up, get the crowd fired up of all the Lightning fans there, and just get physical. And I think, if we catch them off guard coming out very hot, we could put up, 3 again or something like that. I think we could be seeing a Game 6, and then at home, that'd be stellar.
That'd be electric.
Don't let them get back to Tampa.
That's what I'm saying,
man. Don't let us get back to Tampa.
And then when you get to Game 7 after blowing that lead, I mean, it's
we're in their heads.
You're in danger territory. Every waking moment this series goes on, the pressure's off the Lightning at this point.
You got nothing to lose.
You got nothing to lose. So I think I agree. Have to have a strong first period in Game 5, not the 5th period. Stupid. Got to have a strong first period in Game 5. I would love to see someone drop the gloves, because there were some late hits at the end of Game 4. It was starting to get chippy. I think that plays right into the Lightning's hands. Just go crazy, man. Just get Game 1 or period 1, Game 5, come out swinging. You get a lead. That's pressure on them for Game 5, because they know, the Panthers know how important this game is. They do, and yeah. Huge first period. That's biggest period of the season.
Yeah, I think first period is big, and I'd say also build up on your power play. You finally got some momentum in this Game 4 here. Let's see if you can build off of it. Make the most of your opportunities. Like I said, I mean, you got to give some credit to Bobrovsky. He's playing lights out, and he has been the past couple years in their playoff runs. So you got to make the most of your opportunities. So like I said, when you do get a man advantage, you got to make something happen. You can't have them build momentum and get a bunch of stops. So that's my key to the game.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think you have to – I know I still would like to see the Lightning try to utilize the stretch pass, get past the forecheck that way. But power play's huge. I mean, what was that? At least 2 power play goals in the game we won. And
a shorthanded
goal. So the PK has been really good this series. You can't take anything away from those guys. They've probably been the best unit, I think, out of all of it. And then someone from the 3rd or 4th line needs to step up in this game.
Yes.
I'm looking for a Mikey Eyssimont goal in Game 5. That's what I'm looking for from the 3rd line. Maybe sprinkle a little dough on that, because I think it's going to happen. A little Mikey Eyssimont goal, Game 5. And, yeah, so you got to have some production from those bottom lines, because the top 2 lines can't do it all. So I think we might be making a call to a bullpen, first time in podcast history. But before, Cameron, who wins Game 5 and who scores a goal on the Lightning?
Okay, obviously we know who wins Game 5 here. We're going to go Tampa. And then who scores a goal? I mean, We're going to go an underdog, Luke Glendening.
Okay.
Yes, I love that.
All
I love
right.
that.
One of those third, fourth liners, like you said, obviously.
Yeah.
We're going to go with Luke Glendening. Yeah.
All right. Luke Glendening goal. Right now, you've never seen this before. We're moving from Lightning to Rays, and we're going to make a call to a bullpen. Thank you, Cam, our Lightning insider.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on the show.
I
We hope to
appreciate it.
see you soon, maybe next week after the Lightning come fully back and win this series.
Maybe, round 2.
Yeah.
Round 2 special.
We'll have to see. Thank
Who
you for being on
knows?
the show.
So, yeah.
Thank you. I
But
appreciate
we're
it.
bringing in the big righty. Oh, would you look at that? A new guest on the show, Mr. Zach. What's up, my friend?
What's up, guys? It's a pleasure being here. Talk some Tampa Bay Lightning playoffs. Looked like it was a little rough. But we're turning around. Coming for the win. That's why they play 7 games, right?
Mhm.
That's why they play 7
You
games.
gotta win 4. You gotta win 4.
Unfortunately, for the poor Panthers, we give them a little hope, and then now it's time to take that away from them, kind of put them in their place. So
Yeah. So, I know you guys are stunned at home. You guys are like, what just happened? Did we just switch podcast guests in the middle of that? Are you kidding me right now? Oh my goodness. That has to be. This has never been done before. I don't think.
I mean, I think it's probably happened like on just about any podcast.
This is like when we created the opener. That's what we just did. Cameron, you are the opener.
for the Rays.
Yeah. Now it's a wash strategy, but that's not. It's okay. But yeah, we're moving on to Rays baseball right now. We're gonna talk Rays and Bucs. However, here's the thing: we give Cameron the Lightning insider treatment because a little secret about Cameron is he's not a Rays or a Bucs fan. So, but Zach is full in. He is 3 out of 3 team fandoms. He's a TB3 person.
He roots for our sister city, Orlando.
Yep, he's got the Magic jersey on.
Yep, gotta mention the Magic right now.
So
Shout out to the Magic.
Shout out to the Magic. So Zach, we're gonna ask you. We've asked a bunch of our different guests. What is your favorite Tampa Bay sports memory and your least favorite? We'll start with least, so we can end positive.
Ooh, least favorite Tampa Bay sports memory. I'm gonna have to go with. Oh man, this is tough. Probably the Rays losing the World Series. I'm gonna say, reason being.
2020, just so we're clear, correct?
I was going 2008.
Okay, my bad. There we go.
I was going 2008. I'm sorry. Should have clarified there. Reason being was that was pretty much my first year fully being able to be a Rays fan. I was 5 at that point in time. Obviously, kind of in and out of memory with that, but I was born and raised a Rays fan. Since the day I could walk, I was wearing Rays gear. And it was a really exciting moment for my family. Got to watch, and unfortunately, we couldn't pull that off. So that's definitely my least favorite memory for Tampa Bay sports.
All right, hit us with the good news.
So
Those dang Phillies.
the good news, and this one's an easy one, is Matt Garza's no-hitter. Reason being, one, looking back at that game now, Max Scherzer was the opposing pitcher, right? No-hitter on both sides through the first 6 innings until what? Matt Joyce grand slam.
Insane.
No more hits were given up until another home run from Carl Crawford, who Rays legend, by the way. One of the best Tampa Bay athletes of all time, I would argue.
Absolutely.
Yep, absolutely. And that no-hitter was just really special to me. That's kind of where I found my love for pitching in general.
You were there, were you not?
Yep, I was. So I was there with my dad. Gonna be honest, didn't really understand what was happening, was probably bored, right? You go watch a baseball game, it's a pitching duel. We get it, some people, in parentheses, younger people, which I was at the time. I might have not fully understood what was happening until it was about the 7th inning, and my dad looked at me and he said, Zach, if he goes another 3 innings without giving up a hit, we're going to watch history. I thought he was going to jinx it. He didn't, thank goodness. And I got to watch no-hitter live, first and only one in Rays history.
Yep.
So far.
Oh, well, okay. They had a 7-inning no-hitter in the COVID year. Doesn't count, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, whatever.
They would have gone, man. That is crazy, man.
Mickey Mouse
2020,
no-hitter.
2021, crazy. Seven inning doubleheaders.
Say Mickey
Man
Mouse.
for the rule.
Yeah.
It's pretty Mickey Mouse.
So, Colby,
Yeah.
I want to go. I'm sorry if we're going off topic here. It doesn't have to be a long conversation, but I've been thinking something lately, and I was kind of thinking back to that COVID year where we cut the season short.
Mm-hmm.
And what's on my mind right now is all the Rays pitchers' injuries, right? And my thought process on this, because it's obviously stressing any Rays fan and really any baseball fan out, is how do we stop and prevent these injuries, right? So obviously you look at the root of the problem. The root of the problem has to be velocity, right? High spin rates, high velocity.
It's a league-wide
constantly.
thing. It's a league-wide thing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Not just within the Rays. Obviously, the Rays have had a really unfortunate break, but it seems to be a league-wide thing, pretty evidently. And I think that I've come to a solution that I think personally might work, and it's going to be controversial, but I want to hear your guys' opinions. And if you're watching this or streaming this, I would love for you to comment below and
Comment
let us
down
know your
below.
thoughts,
Comment down
because
below.
We might clip this. If this is as good as he's building it up to be, we might clip it on Instagram. Leave a comment on Instagram. We will
So-
see.
So my thought process on how to potentially prevent arm injuries and limit arm injuries, right? You're not going to fully be able to get rid of them. It's not going to be slow the pitching down, right? You can't just ask guys to stop throwing 100 miles an hour, right? That's the baseline nowadays. If you're not throwing 95 plus, you better be disgusting with more spin. More spin leads to injuries as well, right? So you can't take that away. Now, you kind of start to think maybe this is a load management thing, right? You hear about it all the time in the NBA nowadays and in other sports. There's load management, right? And people start to get hurt because they've played too many games. It's hard for them to play all 82 games. So my thought process is baseball being the biggest schedule of all sports, 162 games. What if we cut the season a little bit shorter and didn't play as many games, right? So I'm interested to hear your opinion on that. And why I say that's controversial is because obviously as a baseball fan, you know how baseball works, right? Any team can win on any given day, and that's why you need such a high volume of games. But my thought process on it is we don't want to see these big arms blow. We don't want to see the stars of our game get kicked and can't play for 2 seasons or a season because they get Tommy. So what do you guys think about cutting the season a little bit shorter?
I'm all for it.
Oh, see, I love baseball. I love 162 of baseball. Here would be my rebuttal point. Why are we not doing 6 and 7 man rotations? Why are we not? Why is baseball not upping the amount of pitchers that are allowed on a roster? I think it's 12. It's 28 big league players, I think, is what it is. And another thing about COVID was they allowed more pitchers on the roster because of all the things. There was more pitchers allowed. I think it was 2 more. So for me, I think that's a decent idea. I think 162 is a lot. I mean, it's a pretty insane, staggering number. And I think even if you start the season later, you could potentially avoid some of that NHL, NBA playoff overlap. You could avoid some of that cold weather from these northern cities early on in the season. So I do think there's some benefits for that.
Pete Fairbanks would love that.
Pete Fairbanks is all about that.
Yeah.
So I do think there's benefits, and I think if they did that, I think it would be a wise decision. For me, I love 162 games of baseball. I think I kind of love the idea of 6, 7, maybe 8-man rotations. I think you would get in more entertaining baseball. I think you would get, at least a game or 2 a week where you're 6, 7, where you're 7 to 8. You know what I mean? Like the scores of the games, like where these are high-scoring games against worse pitchers. You know what I'm saying? So I think for me, I think you could shorten the season, or you could have more pitchers in the mix, therefore lessening the load that way too. But I think load management is something that baseball as a whole should be looking into right now.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. And it's just a thought that I've been thinking about recently because kind of an insider resource here. One of my good buddies named Landon Morotis, who is the Blue Jays' number 12 overall prospect, currently playing for the Dunedin Blue Jays. I was talking to him the other day, and I was asking him about if he's ready for his first season, how he's feeling, what they've done developmentally. And he was saying that the only thing that he was a little bit nervous about was how many games they play. he got drafted out of high school for context. So in high school, maybe you play 25 games plus playoffs, whatever, right? Going into a minor league or big leagues, you're dramatically increasing the workload, even from just college baseball, right? Just college baseball alone, you're dramatically increasing the workload. So obviously there's going to be some time that you have to take to catch up and adapt the body to that. But maybe just cutting it down 50 games, right? 50 games or 40 games, just something light, because I feel like you start to see these injuries either right at the beginning of the season or way down the line at the end of the season, right? It's either coming out of spring training, trying to ramp back up. You probably increased what you were doing in the off season just to kind of allow your arm to recover. So then you come back into spring training, you kind of have to up the workload even more just to get back to a baseline level where you can compete with the other guys in the big leagues. So I think that there's this really aggressive shutdown and then this really rampant kind of start back up to get guys going. And I think that if we can maybe just shorten the season a little bit, give guys a little bit more time to recover and then a little bit more time to kind of ramp back up, we could probably see a pretty dramatic decrease in arm injuries across baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I don't know if this is controversial either, but I mean, spring training's like 6 weeks? I know you want to ramp up, but I feel like you're also putting innings on your arm at that point too. I think maybe part of you might not have to get rid of 50 games, but you might have to get rid of 30, and then maybe 2 weeks of spring training could be an option like that. Because, I mean, I think once you get to that last week or so of spring training, these pitchers are kind of fully stretched out. They're going 5 innings. It's like their last tune-up start. But I think for the sake of injury and keeping people healthy, you wouldn't mind having those tune-up starts being actual regular season games because you're still going to have 100-plus at least. I mean, I would have a hard time seeing them go under 120 games. I don't know if they would get all the way down to 100. I think 50 games would be too much. I think 40, 30 would be about where they would land. That would take about a full month out. But, yeah, I think maybe taking out some weeks out of spring training and some games out of spring training would also help that too.
Mm-hmm. You shorten it, though. You get more playoffs, expanded playoffs. Everybody loves that.
Well, here's the thing. The small playoffs was good because there's so many games, so it made each game feel more important. But if you do less games, you could expand the playoffs, and I would feel less bad about it. So I don't know.
Because give me the single game elimination wild card series.
Absolutely.
Those are the best. Those are the best games.
100%.
They should not have 3-game wild card series now. All those games should be that's another thing.
Unless the Rays are playing the Rangers.
Well, I mean, the same outcome. We just had to live it for an extra day. It was so much bad. So bad. So much bad is what I just said.
I just don't want to go through that ever again.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, we have the problem where everyone now, the top seeds are kind of complaining that they're too rusty by the time the end of the playoffs. We've had 6 seeds go to the World Series the past 2 years. So I think if you just do single-game eliminations, you get rid of that rust and you make the games more entertaining. Because instead of having 4 games and having the Rays have to play at 3 p.m. on a Tuesday, you would be able to slip those days and have them play at 7 p.m. and have much more better baseball games.
8 teams, best of 7 on each side, and then 7 through 10 single elimination play-in games.
Wow. Heard it here first.
I've never heard of that before.
Heard it here first.
Before.
Hot take.
I'm
completely uproot the base of MLB playoffs.
Rebuttal point. We put them all in one bracket and we do it March Madness style.
32 round of 32. I guess that would be
the regular season. The regular season does not matter whatsoever.
That would be entertaining.
Every single team gets in the playoffs.
Dude, we could just have conference tournaments too. Have like an AL East tournament.
And the Marlins take out the Braves. Bracket busted.
Dude, that's crazy. Like the Oakland Athletics are getting like the Loyola Chicago treatment. They're like, oh my, I can't believe
Sister Jean shows up for the A's.
Woo, that's funny. All right, we got to get into sad. I think we got to do it. We got to get into the Rays baseball.
Rapid. My mental health can't take it.
All right, the Rays had 2 series this week, one at home and one on the road, both against AL Central teams. You would think they would do good, but they are dog water. The Tampa Bay Rays started this week off at home in Tropicana Field on Monday,
We were there.
April 22nd. There was TB3 correspondents. Will was there. I was there. Luke was there. He's been on the show. Ethan was there. He's been on the show. We had 4 TB3 correspondents at the game. And let me tell you what, I wish I never went to that game. I already got the ballpark pass. I didn't spend any money, and I felt like I got cheated out of money at this game. It was so bad. The Detroit Tigers threw Tariq Skubal, who's having an amazing season, and the Rays threw Zach Littell, who's also having an amazing season up to this point. However, it was not an amazing start. Started off bad. Mark Canha, solo home run, 1-0, and then it just kept unraveling. Zach Littell ended up giving up 5 earned runs over 6 innings, and the Detroit Tigers built a 6-0 lead. Jose Caballero, a.k.a. Chris Paul, hit a huge 3 to cut the lead to 42.
Is this the dagger?
His 416-foot home run cut the lead to 7-1, and that would be your final score. The Rays lost this one 7-1. But we're back at it. It's baseball. It's the next day. And this time we have Ryan Pepio on the mound against Kenta Maeda. Zach was at the game with me.
I was at the game.
We were both at the game. Again, another TB3 correspondent. What is wrong with this dude? He watched the Rays get smoked, and he went back the next day. I don't know what's wrong with me.
Is he
but,
bad luck? Is he bad luck?
I went to a win, but I think I might be bad luck. Or the Rays suck. Anyways.
Or I'm bad luck.
Yeah, I don't know.
Rays suck, man.
Speaking of bad luck, Riley Green was bad luck for Ryan Pepio. He hit a solo home run, 426 feet in the third inning to start the scoring off, 1-0 Detroit. But then, after 5 innings of Kenta Maeda shutout ball, the Rays got to the deadly, actually surprisingly, Detroit bullpen. But Isaac Paredes got to him, a 2-run home run, puts the Rays up 2-1. They have finally scored and taken the lead. However, Colin Poche enters, and he blows it. Riley Green hits a 2-run home run, his second of the game, to make it 3-2 Tigers. And then Mark Canha, who was going off this series for some reason, hits a home run to make it 4-2. And that would be your final score. The Rays could not get any more runs in this game, and they would lose this one 4-2 in the Trop. Will they get swept? Not this time. A little foreshadowing, but not for this series. The Rays won't get swept. Tyler Alexander is on the bump coming behind Sean Armstrong. And the Tigers took a 1-0 lead. However, Randy Arozarena hits a home run. Can you believe it? Someone must have died. I don't know why I said that. Randy Arozarena. He's getting the Nick Castellanos treatment. 1-1 Rays. Randy Arozarena home run, and then Big Ben Rortvedt gets an RBI double. 2-1 Rays.
Goats.
Big second inning. Jose Caballero, RBI single. Yandy Diaz, RBI single. The Rays go up 4-1. Offense, baby. Let's go. And then the Tigers just would not go away this series. Mark Canha, again, killing the Rays. A 2 RBI single to make it 4-3 in the 5th. And then in the 6th inning, Buddy Kennedy, Detroit Tigers legend, makes it 4-4 on an RBI single. And then Javi Baez gets something to hit, and he hits it into the gap for a double. It's 5-4 Tigers. Is the season over? Maybe not. Ben Rortvedt in the 6th inning ties the game back up. The best catcher in baseball. It's 5-5. And then, in one of the most shocking events I've ever seen in my life, Curtis Mead contacted the baseball, and not only did he do that, he hit it out. He dropped it into 162 landing. It was 327 feet, and it was a 2-run bomb to give the Rays a 7-5 lead, and the bullpen would hold, thank the Lord. The Rays would win this one 7-5 to lose the series against the Tigers in the Trop.
Where do I begin? It's just nothing can go right for him. Really, nothing can go right. Seems like even the one single win we had, the bats come alive, right? We see some faces we haven't seen hit at all.
The bats are hitting, so we might as well put Chris Davinsky in
might
a
as
one-run ball game. Oh my gosh.
Put Davinsky up and just have him blow it. And we got so lucky to get out of that game. And it makes me mad he got the win. He blew the game and got the win. Maybe that's just the season this year. Maybe it is.
Listen, speaking of nothing can go our way, for the one time ever something did go our way, let's talk about that Curtis Meade home run. How many ballparks does that ball get out of, Colby?
Uno.
One. If we are not at the Trop, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. That's just bad baseball. The Rays have not been performing to the standard that they usually do. Everybody's aware of that. Randy Arozarena, miraculous home run. But us three sitting here right now talking about a Randy Arozarena home run and acting like a miracle just happened, that's not normal. That's not Rays baseball. Rays bullpen used to be outstanding. Like, across the league, people feared our bullpen. And now the bullpen goes up, and the other team probably starts to cheer. The other team probably gets in the dugout and starts to laugh and point towards our bullpen pitchers because we are just that bad. That bad.
Well, so, Zach, you actually, when we were talking about the pitching thing earlier, I was kind of thinking about this. You were like, you have to throw 95 or you got to have something disgusting. There's about no one in this Rays bullpen that throws 95. Now that Pete Fairbanks is on the IL, I mean, Adam is about 30. Adam hits 95. Adam's gross. He's our best reliever. That's awesome. But other than that, I mean, we have soft throwers. We have players that are just missing locations, walking people, the whole shebang. The bullpen has just been so disappointing, and it's just unfortunate because it seems like the bullpen in a game where the Rays are maybe down 2 or 3, the bullpen will hold. They'll keep it where it needs to be. But when the Rays get that one-run lead, or if the Rays are only down 1 trying to get to the next inning without any more damage, the bullpen is just not coming through. I mean, you look at guys, Phil Maton's having a really tough season. I mean, here, we can look at this because it's just, at this point, I mean, let's just look at some of the ERAs from these people right now. I mean,
not even individually. We can just look at it straight up. The Rays give up 5.14 runs per game. That's bad.
A 4 ERA for Sean Armstrong, 7.71 Chris Davinsky, 9 for Pete Fairbanks, 7.59 Phil Maton, 4.15 Kevin Kelly, 6.75 Colin Poche. I mean, this is.
He just went to the IL too.
He went to the IL. 3.18 Erasmo Ramirez.
Okay, can we stop pushing this guy?
Yeah. So just huge inflated ERAs from the bullpen all around. Too many base runners. Too many walks. Just not complimentary baseball from the bullpen to the bats to the starters. And yeah, like Will said, it just seems like nothing can go right.
Yeah. Yeah, just to kind of pile on to the pile of trash that we have going on right now about our bullpen and our pitching. The Rays have given up 39 home runs this year, which is 29th worst in the league. That leaves one team worse than us on giving up home runs. 25th worst ERA in the league. And what you were saying, Colby, you think about bullpen guys, and you think high spin rates, high velocity, something that's going to blow it by these guys who are late in a game. You go from a starting pitcher who typically has multiple pitches, locates well, can get through a lineup 2 to 3 times. You want to go to the bullpen and have a guy that's just going to blow it by you, leave you almost no chance to hit it, and we don't have a single guy like that right now. Pete Fairbanks went from being one of the best closers in the game to just absolutely awful. Obviously, he's going through a lot. You got to respect it. Came out for the team, tried his best, wasn't working. But just bad. I mean, just absolutely awful. And I will say that a bullpen pitcher's ERA is naturally going to be inflated.
Yeah.
Right? It's going to be inflated. But when we have numbers like 6, 7, 13s are in there, I mean, that's unacceptable. That is bad.
And you're looking at whips, which I think is whip, walk, hit per inning pitched, if you guys don't know at home. But, I mean, you're looking at whips, and these are 1.5s, 1.3s. All of these whips are above 1. And for a reliever, I mean, if you're getting more than 1 base runner an inning, that's bad news. That's, they pop a home run, like you said, 39 in the year. Anything like that. The more base runners a bullpen guy has, the more room there is for trouble. That's why you want a bullpen guy with, the really good ones have a whip under 1. We got like 1 or 2 guys like that. We have Jason Adam pretty much is like that. All these other guys are just giving up way too many free base runners, and it's just it's unfortunate to see what this Rays bullpen has become. Manuel Rodriguez came up today. I liked some of the stuff he had, but even him, he came out for a second inning, and he gave up some runs. But, he's throwing 96 with a sinker, so hopefully he might be a good option for them. Garrett Clevenger's having a really nice bounce-back season. Jason Adams good. So that's kind of my 3 guys I'm looking at right now to hopefully close out games if we can ever get a lead again, late in the game. But still, the bullpen has problems, but I don't even know if it's the biggest problem for this team. The bats are asleep.
Yeah, well, that's the thing why they can't do anything right, because I feel like it's either the bats come alive for a period, and then it's not even 1 inning later and we've already blown the lead or let teams tie, and then it's then it's the opposite where we might be down a run or 2, and then we just let it snowball from there and end up just having no chance of coming back in the later innings.
Yeah, so I will say I don't think that the bats are nearly as big of a problem as the pitching has been. Reason I say that, we're putting up 4 runs per game, a little over 4 runs per game. We've had some highlights this season. Ahmed Rosario is absolutely raking. Rortvet is hitting very well. We've seen some highlights, but you got to go back to the main guys that you think of when you think of Rays baseball: Yandy Diaz, Randy Arozarena. We haven't touched on the White Sox series, but they combined for 2 hits across the last 3 games. 2 hits. One of them being a double from Randy, which was really clutch, but 2 hits across 3 games. You can't have that from the top of your lineup and expect to win baseball games.
I will say Yandy Diaz was 5 for 17 last week with a 294 average. He seems to be coming around. Randy, on the other hand, kind of is showing no signs of coming around. He's taking awful swings, too long with it, missed time, bad. The counter not swinging his way, swinging at balls 2-0. That's a problem with the whole Rays offense is count control. They are just very undisciplined. Any pitch that's a swing pitch, it's not going the Rays' way. They're not taking walks. I think I could look this up, but I think they're at the bottom of the league and taking walks. And without walks and without getting those free passes, it's hard to get rallies. It just truly is. They're having to hit their way all the way through. They haven't had the extra base power that they had last year. So it's been a struggle, and I would tend to disagree with Zach. I think the bats have been my biggest problem. I know when you're a bullpen guy, it's magnified when you're blowing a lead, and I get that, but I just think there's so many games where the Rays are just either they have a 1-run lead or 2, and they're not adding on, and there's just no activity from this lineup from innings 3 through 7, and it's getting to a point where it's a legitimate and major problem.
So you said you say the bats are more of a problem?
No, he said bullpen.
I think
bullpen. You say the bats are more of a problem.
Here's what I want to say, and I'm sorry to cut you off, Will. But
I was asking because I got confused. I'm sorry. I was looking at stats.
So, Colby, going back to what you said the Rays will get a 1 or 2 run lead, and the bats just can't get going again. That's because majority of baseball games should be won within 1 to 2 run leads. You can't ask for a 5-run lead every single game, right? And if you get a 5-run lead, obviously you should be holding it, regardless of what the pitching does. But majority of baseball games are gonna be low-scoring games, and you can't ask the bats to do much more than one or 2 run leads every single game, right? The problem is when we get a 1 or 2 run lead, we just can't hold it at all. We can't hold it at all. You get a 1 or 2 run lead, and then the bullpen goes out there and they give up a 2-run bomb and it's a tie game, or they walk 2 guys and then give up a double. That's the problem with the team right now. I think that the bats have to improve, but I think that that's something that we can see starting to possibly get going in the future. You think of guys like Randy. He's an all-star. He's an all-star for a reason. He's played extremely well the past 2-3 seasons. you're looking at that guy and you're thinking, wow, he's in a terrible slump right now. You're not looking at Randy and thinking that's a terrible baseball player who's doomed. You're looking at that guy and you're thinking he's going to come around eventually. The problem with the bullpen is none of these guys can show any signs of coming around. Maybe Pete Fairbanks when he comes back, but the rest of the guys just aren't showing any signs of life at all.
Yeah, and I guess what do you think the problem is? Because I mean, looking back to last year, we don't have a lot of new faces. I mean, I can tell you Davinsky was a huge letdown last year, but the only guy we added was Matone. But like we've seen Kelly, we've seen Fairbanks, we've seen Poche, Kevin Kelly, Sean Armstrong, and it just feels like to me out of nowhere that all of a sudden these guys have just become unreliable. And I guess I want to know, like, what's your thoughts on the reason for that?
So I think the biggest standout to me, and I can't remember the exact numbers, but I was looking at them earlier this season, the Rays bullpen was leading the league in walks given up, right? The location has been absolutely awful. We have guys that have okay stuff that can get by, and they've shown to do well in the past, but I think this year, for whatever reason, we're leaving pitches up, we're leaving pitches in the zone, and when we're not, we're just walking guys. The location's terrible. They're just sitting back. We're getting into bad counts, getting into 2-0 counts, 2-1, 3-1, where these hitters can just sit on a meatball, and then they get their meatball and they absolutely smoke it. So I think that the problem is definitely location.
I agree. I think walks are a huge problem for this Rays bullpen. I think when you look at the pitchers that are in this Rays bullpen, their arsenal, there's not a lot of pitchers that are beating you in the zone. I think so it's so crucial for these guys to get good counts. I mean, Adams beating you in the zone, probably Fairbanks is, but Maton's not beating you in the zone. He has to get a good count and have you chase. Poche's not really beating you in the zone. He's trying to get you pop up with that high fastball, or he's trying to drop that slider that he developed last year. I mean, Clevenger, he could maybe be in the zone, but even him, he's really relying on that slider to strike you out. Kevin Kelly is not beating you in the zone. He's relying on weak contact early, or he's relying on getting that sweeper off the plate late. I think Sean Armstrong, definitely someone who can. And I think his kind of struggle to start the season might be the most shocking to me. I do think some of his velocity is down, so maybe I don't know if some of his mechanics might be off. I know that happens with pitchers and stuff like that. But I do think, to Zach's points, walks and bad counts are just so crucial for this Rays bullpen because they just don't have as many guys right now in this bullpen that can beat you in the zone and come back from bad counts. So they have to do a better job of throwing first pitch strikes, getting soft contact early, stuff like that, just so they can kind of take the pressure off these because it seems like every reliever is in a stressful situation. It seems like a hitter gets on. I mean, example, I know we're not talking White Sox right now, but an example is the Rays, they tie the game up 6-6, right? Sean Armstrong comes in, he walks Martin Maldonado to lead off the game, 9-hole hitter. That's unacceptable, and that's stuff that's been happening for the Rays bullpen all season long. And in this situation, the Rays got out of it. But not many times are you going to walk the 9-hole hitter, have 1, 2, 3 coming up after you've just tied the game and get out of it. So I think you're spot on. Counts and walks are a huge thing for this Rays bullpen, and they have to straighten it up.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But I'll agree, too. I mean, I think the hits are also a problem, too. In their own way, because I think one thing I feel like is our power is gone. We're at 25 home runs for the season, and then you look at the stats and teams in our division. The Orioles have hit 44 home runs, the Yankees 37, Red Sox 36, and we started out so hot last year hitting the long ball, and I feel like that's kind of died this season. I think that's a big problem. And then, like you said too, I get a real problem with. And I felt like this a lot in 2022 where it's like a 1 or 2 run lead sometimes feels almost insurmountable for this team. So I think I guess on both sides. I think they're both equally maybe
I think you can look
they're
at
both pretty bad.
I think you can look at every facet of the Rays team right now, and it could be a reason for why they're losing. And it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
We can get into it, man. Their defense sucks. this is the worst Rays defense I think I've ever seen in my life.
And
That's
Brandon
crazy.
Lau's not playing.
And Brandon Lau's not playing. His predecessor, his replacement, predecessor was the wrong word. His replacement sucks. The Rays have 15 errors this year. They just do not have that many, and they have a minus 1.6 defensive runs saved. That's a metric to measure basically how good your defense is, and they're 18th in the league. This is Rays baseball. They pride themselves on defense. They bench good hitters to have good defense. That is the whole deal. Taylor Wall's got consistent reps for 2 years because that's what I'm saying. He's a gold glover. The Rays value defense, and their defense stinks. And it's crazy. It's every time. That's another thing. Giving up a leadoff hitter on an error is just like giving up a leadoff walk. And that's happened for these bullpen guys too. So their defense sucks. Their offense is not getting as much production as they need. Their bullpen's blowing leads. And their starters haven't been that good either. I mean, Zach Littell had 2 really, really bad starts in a row.
He's had a down week.
He's had a down week, and so has Aaron Savali. Aaron Savali has 2 bad starts in a row. So has Zach Littell. So the starters are not pitching well either. This is just an abysmal week for the Rays.
Tyler Glaslater is playing pretty good, in my opinion.
Glaslater?
Yeah. Ryan Pepiot.
I was like, what are we talking about? He had a really good game.
Why
he
have
looked
Tyler
gross.
Glass now when you can have Tyler Glass later?
Oh,
Listen,
okay, I get it. Okay, there we go.
Guys, I wanna make it a point too, and I'm sure you guys have talked about this on previous episodes, but I think all in all, you look at the Rays right now, you look at the defense, you look at the bats, you look at the pitching. What this really comes down to is the injuries, right? Well, you mentioned that home runs are down. You think of 2 big home run hitters that are out of the lineup right now, Brandon Lau and Josh Lowe. I mean, 2 guys that are going to hit you home runs from the left side that are going to be consistent power guys, and they're out of the lineup due to injuries. You look at the pitching. Starting pitching's been awful. 5 guys that could fit into any rotation in baseball are on our injured list right now.
Probably would have the best starting rotation in the league if none of them were hurt.
Yep, absolutely. And I think that having all of those guys injured and they're not giving us consistent starts, we're getting either a really good start or a really bad start or kind of in the middle, that's putting a lot of pressure on the bullpen guys too. It's really hard to come into a game after your starter just got pulled in the 5th. He was at 95 pitches and kind of got beat around a little bit, and now you're coming to the game trying to save it from the 5th inning. You're throwing 4 different guys. Right, I think that it's really hard for the bullpen guys to get going just because we have so many starting pitchers injured. We're not getting consistently deep into games and seeing good outings from our starters.
You know, I agree. I think injuries are a huge problem for the Rays. I think it's been well known. I think we've talked about it a bunch of times. The Rays have a bunch of injuries, whether that's a organizational problem or that's just bad luck. It's a little bit of both. Some of these guys are coming back. Josh Lowe should be coming back soon. Johnny DeLuca's been in AAA. Jonathan Aranda's been in AAA. Taj Bradley just threw an amazing start in AAA today, 5 innings.
What a day for the Durham Bulls today, because I think, Junior Caminero hit like 2 bombs. Josh Lowe's getting on base. Aranda's getting on base. And Taj Bradley was
he had a great start. I mean, I think whoever tweeted it said one of the best rehab starts he's ever seen. So that's awesome. But it's kind of coming apparent to me, the injuries are one thing, but the people in the clubhouse right now, there's something wrong. There's something wrong with the Rays. It's just lazy. I mean, we look at Jose Siri struck out, and he didn't run after a fly ball in Chicago, and he got benched for it. Yeah. And I think there's something off about these Rays. There's no energy. There's no passion. And I think that starts with Kevin Cash, because there's been something off with him all season. He just, every time you look over there, I don't understand it. I think Kevin Cash, he's been managing weird. He's been leaving in pitchers way too long. It seems like he doesn't it just seems like he doesn't fully want to win these games in some of the decisions he makes. He won't move the lineup. And all these Rays, it seems like every game we go into, the Rays, they don't feel like they're going to win. They just don't have the swag they have last year. I don't understand it. There's something off. I don't know if it's the Juan Franco thing. I don't know if that's taking a toll. I don't know if it's just the amount of injuries. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know if there's something else that we don't know about. But there's something wrong with this Rays team. The energy, the passion, the fight, the toughness. That's what the Rays are. For all these years, the Rays have been no-name players that are going to make you know what their name is. They are going to make themselves known. They're going to show up, and they're going to overplay expectations. And they're doing the opposite. They're underplaying, and it's in that clubhouse. There's something wrong. I think Kevin Cash is a big part of it. He just seems off. He's made terrible decisions. I think he's done a terrible job managing this team this year. I think just the pitching, he won't change the lineups. He finally took Yandy Diaz out of the leadoff spot for one game. Ahmed Rosario did fine, and he put him right back in there. And it's just I'm just livid with the Rays because I have so much faith. I have so much we're passionate, right? And you could look and you could say, why do you care so much? You're not on the team, yada, yada, yada. Just take a step back. But at the end of the day, I mean, I know I watch
You're a
4
paying
to 5.
contributor.
I pay. I go to the games, and I watch 4 or 5 Rays games a week at the minimum. You know what I'm saying? I watch these games all the time. I'm watching the games almost every night. It's why baseball's so good. You feel like you're a part of the team because you're watching so often. And it just, as someone who watches every day, who's watched a lot of games last year and the year before, there's something wrong with this team. There's something wrong with the energy, and they need a spark right now, or it's going to just keep spiraling.
Yeah, and maybe that spark will be Josh Lowe. I think it's going to be huge, and I'm really hoping. For me, I'm on my my wits end with Jonathan Aranda. I think he's underperformed mightily. So when he comes back up, like, I'm really, really praying he turns it around, and we see some more consistency from him. But I think I don't want to blame Kevin Cash too much because I just feel like there's some aspects of this team. It's like, what more can you do? And we look at the Rays as a whole, and a lot of other teams will just buy their way out of some of the injuries stuff we've had to deal with, and we don't. We lost one of the best shortstops in baseball in the offseason, and we try to make it up with some Moneyball stuff. Most teams will just try to get the biggest name out there. So I can't really blame them because we don't. There's not a whole lot to work with right now.
But even the people we brought in have been the best players on the team. I mean, Caballero, Rosario, Rortvet, these are off-season acquisitions. They've been the best hitters. It's not the new guys. It's not the people replacing these people. It is the guys in the room. I mean, these are Harold Ramirez, Randy Rosarina, Yandy Diaz,
but that's
Brandon
what I'm saying.
Lau.
Like, we can't afford to dump those guys.
But I'm saying Rene Pinto, all these guys had like 800 OPSs last year, 750 to 850. They were all in this range, and they're not this year.
No.
And it's a team-wide thing, and they're all under it. And I don't know. There's just something off with this team.
So
Because it's team-wide.
bringing up the fact of, and this is far-fetched. If you're a fan at home, you're judging me for this, that's okay. But bringing up the fact that the newer guys have been outperforming the guys that have been with us could be the root of the problem in the clubhouse. It absolutely could be. You have a guy like Randy. He's got Randy land. He's the face of the Rays. He's a big fan favorite. And he comes into the season, he starts struggling. You have guys like Rosario and Cabby
Palacios.
that are playing really well. Palacios, who doesn't love that guy? He looks awesome. He plays awesome. He wore Dior Jordan cleats today. That's awesome. I mean, these guys are really likable. They're playing really well. And I think that there might be a little bit of an ego thing with some of the other guys on the team, specifically Randy, who we've kind of seen it from before, who does his cross arm thing every time he hits a single, or sometimes even if he gets walked. I mean, you have these guys that clearly have egos, and that's fine. You're allowed to have swagger in baseball, but you can't let other teammates take it away from you. And I think that I'm seeing a little bit of that now that you bring that up. The other thing that I wanted to say is, you look at teams that are doing really well this year, like the Royals, the Orioles, the Diamondbacks last year. those teams are playing with a confidence and a swagger that the Rays do not have right now.
Even the Rays last year
Yep.
had the confidence and swagger that they don't have now.
Yep, absolutely. And I think it all starts in the clubhouse. I think that there's got to be some negative energy back and forth between some players in there that we just can't see because it's behind closed doors, and they really need to figure that out. Because you can't win a baseball game playing for yourself. You got to play for each other, and if you're not willing to put it all out there for the rest of your teammates, you're not going to win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think, too, it could be a lot like with the Orioles, I see them as just a young team. You know, they really haven't been to this level. Like, they haven't gotten this hype in so long. They've been bad for years, and now they kind of had those draft picks pay off and stuff like that. I think, too, with the Rays is I just see them as more of in desperation mode right now because this team has been expected to win since probably 2020, after the 2020 season. I mean, they won 100 games in 2021. Multiple playoff appearances have come away with just about nothing, especially the last two seasons, scoring, 2 runs in 4 games or something like that. And so I think they're just in a little bit of desperation mode, and they don't get that excitement that some teams do where they're just kind of starting their run and they're starting to see some of these guys develop. Like, we've had this core for a while now. We've had Randy for a minute, Yandy for a minute, Brandon Lau, Jason Adams been here forever. And I think a lot of pressure is built up on them to win and win now. And we're just not seeing them do it.
Well, I'm kind of seeing not a sense of immaturity, but you look at a team like the Dodgers, right? That group's been together. They just picked up Shohei, obviously. They picked up Glasnow, but Mookie Betts, he's been there. Freddie's been there a year. They've got players that have been playing together for a while, and they play with a swagger that other teams do. And those are guys who have been in the league, that have been there. Multiple of them have either won a World Series or been to a World Series. I mean, you look at the Rays and you have Randy, who strikes out and pouts his way to the dugout. Jose Siri, who won't go after fly balls.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just...
No, and another thing, sorry to cut you off, but
Yeah,
another
but
thing...
If I'm making $500 million a year, I'm not going to be upset about a strikeout.
Well, but they are. But another thing is that I don't want to be this guy, but they used to run out every single time they popped up or they grounded out, and they're not doing that this year. And another thing I'm just looking at, I was just doing a little digging. Surprise, I'm the stats intern. Ha, no, I'm kidding. But the Rays, after last year, their first base coach, Chris Prieto, and their assistant hitting coach, Dan DeMint, did not return this year. They were fired, I guess, is what they announced. I don't know exactly what happened. They announced they would not return. But that's 2 coaches. That could be the difference. That could be something that's holding them back. That could be something that is kind of throwing off their energy in the clubhouse. Just, I mean, something to note for sure. So, yeah.
Yeah, and, like you said, we don't know the root of the cause of that, and I'm sure we could find it. But you kind of look at other coaches having issues, and it all kind of points back to Kevin Cash. Right, it might point back to Kevin Cash, and maybe Kevin Cash didn't like the way they handled things, and he wanted to get rid of him. I don't know. Could be far fetched, but something like that happens to your team. Those are 2 really important guys. Now, maybe the only returner really is Kevin Cash, and maybe guys are starting not to trust him.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we could quickly just talk about the White Sox series. I feel like we've hit all we want to do, but the Rays got swept by the White Sox.
Basically, it sucked.
The Rays got swept by the White Sox. The White Sox were 3-22.
Worst team in baseball.
Headed into this worst team in
Doubled
baseball.
their win total.
And they doubled their win total by sweeping the Rays. First game, 9-4. Zach Eflin has a bad start after 2 good ones in a row. Second game is a thriller. We have Aaron Savali kind of imploding. Good start. The Rays, they leave a lot of men on, but they do get some big hits. Palacios hits a home run. Austin Shenton gets his first career big league home run. And we go to extras, tied. Ben Rortvedt gets a home run caught in the wind and gets overturned, which sucked. And then Andrew Benintendi had a multi-home run game after not hitting one all season, being on a crazy home run drought. He hits 2, including a walk-off home run to win this one. And then on Sunday, the Rays get shut out. 8 1/3 innings pitched by Eric Fetty. He gives up 2 earned runs. The bullpen would close it out for the White Sox. The White Sox would get some runs, a pretty solid start from Zach Littell. I think I just said earlier he had a bad start. That's wrong. He had a good one today. I mean, 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. This one was all about the bats. They were just, I think they allowed Fetty to retire 14 batters in a row at one point. So just a bad game all around. The bullpen allows some insurance runs in the bottom of the 8th to take away what could have been a tying double in the bottom of the 9th. And the Rays got swept by the worst team in baseball. So kind of all these problems we're talking about just was magnified today because this was kind of rock bottom here for the Tampa Bay Rays.
I don't even want to talk about that series.
Yeah, it was really bad.
There's nothing to talk about.
I mean, what we just said was what we're talking about there.
Let's look ahead, man. Let's look ahead to the positives because the best thing about the Rays, there's always a game tomorrow, which there is.
I don't know if that's a good thing at this point.
There's always another game, and we continue our road trip here in the Midwest. Tomorrow, 7:40 p.m., April 29th, at the Brewers. 3-game set, Tuesday, April 30th at 7:40, and then Wednesday, 1:10 p.m. on May 1st. Then the Rays are off Thursday, and they return home Friday, May 3rd at 6:50 p.m. Mark your calendars because the Rays are going to wear their new City Connect uniforms.
Getting unveiled tomorrow.
You could be listening to this and you might know what they look like. So keep that game in mind. I'm definitely going to be there.
Follow us on social media, Instagram, Twitter for our thoughts because we will be posting our thoughts and
I'm already
reactions.
ready to love them because I saw the Sox.
We've been seeing they look good.
Please, Sky Rays, please save me. Friday, May 3rd against the Mets. Saturday, 7:15, and then they close out the series with the Mets on Sunday, May 5th at 1:40. So, do we dare predict?
I think we do. I'll get it rolling. I think
Can't do as bad as well. What did they go last week? 1-5. They did 1-5.
1-5. So neither of us got that right. I said 5-1. You said 4-2.
Because I was like, dude, they're playing the Tigers and Sox. Like, you have to be.
Even if they
really
lose,
do bad.
even if they lose 1 or 2 against the Tigers, they got the White Sox on the weekend. They should win all those. Yeah, it was a sweep.
I said there should be a sweep for the Rays. But,
yep, sweep the other way. I'm gonna say 3-3. I think they'll salvage one against the Brewers, but on the road, I don't know. And I'll give you a Yandy Diaz home run. Finally pops one.
I'm either going to look like an idiot or a genius, but I want the Rays to turn it around. And I'll tell you my reasoning after. Rays will go 4-2 this week. They're tired. They're pissed after this White Sox series. They're going to come back with some swagger. They're going to win 4 games out of 6. And Rortvet's going to get a knock. He's going to get a big ding-dong. So he's going to hit his home run. He got robbed in Chicago. Was it yesterday? You can just turn that off. What's this? Oh, yeah. So Rortvet's going to get a home run. Rays are going 4-2. All right, Zach.
All right.
Your first prediction on the show ever?
Well, I would love to go with the same answer as you. However, I have to go 2-4. I have to go 2-4.
And that will probably honestly happen.
Listen, man, I think that we're starting to watch a little bit of an implosion. It's bad news. It's bad news for us. I think we go 2-4. Hopefully turn it around towards the end. Maybe snag 2 at home, but it's not looking too hot for us. However, I'm going to go Palacios with a bomb. I love him. He's my favorite. Wears glasses and he looks awesome.
Respect.
There was a point on this
awesome.
White Sox series where he was on base 8 plate appearances in a row.
Yeah.
So he's
just
hot.
A stud.
Yeah,
just
he's
a
a stud.
Yep.
But yeah, before we get over, I just want to give you hope because we had a lot of negative, and it's true. It's not fun to be a fan right now. It really isn't if you're listening and you're feeling down because we all are too. We're not going to lie about it. But 2021, the Rays started off the season 13-15, okay? Which is hard to believe because they ended that season setting a franchise record, 100 wins and 62 losses. So they can turn it around.
They can do it.
They can do it. And again, just keep in mind they got a lot of guys coming back.
Mm-hmm.
You will have a completely different starting rotation. You'll have a lot of new bats back, and you'll get some of these injured guys back as well. So you never know. This could be a completely
Maybe
different.
one Junior Caminero comes up soon.
Yeah, maybe. We're going to get Josh Lowe. I mean, I assume maybe tomorrow.
I don't know.
People were saying he's supposed to come back.
because he has a sore hamstring. I don't know if you saw that, but he has a sore hamstring.
After today? Because he played today.
No, he didn't play today.
All right, updated news. It's over.
He didn't play today?
He played in Durham? No.
Are you sure he didn't play in
No,
Durham?
he left Chicago to go back home and get an MRI for his sore hamstring, and they didn't think he was going to. So he just didn't want to hurt it worse.
Season's over. No,
hope-
seriously, though.
I hope he's
Anything
back.
could happen.
I would say, realistically, I think Friday Mets he comes back.
That's
Friday
perfect.
Mets. Yeah.
You know I gotta see him in the City Connects.
Oof, he's gonna be looking handsome.
Yeah,
He
that's a
is.
good-looking guy.
He's ooh.
That's a good-looking guy.
Him and DeLuca need to make like a calendar, like a cool like.
And Palacios can be on that
Yeah,
calendar.
he could be in there too.
All right.
All right.
Will, take us through the Buccaneers draft. We got one more sport. TB3 day. We told you, the Tampa Bay Bucs went through Daddy Jason Light drafted another draft 2024, and Will's gonna tell us what he did.
Yeah, I really need the music that going through this, but we don't have the facilities for that. So in round 1, pick number 26, your Tampa Bay Buccaneers selected.
You didn't have to tell him that. They just saw me turn off the TV when the Lightning YouTube video ended.
I'm glad you caught it. I wasn't paying attention. Round 1, pick 26. A lot of people thought the Bucs might not have had a pick after that night, but they do come away with Graham Barton, the center from Duke. Round number 2, pick 57, Chris Braswell, outside linebacker, Alabama. Round number 3, pick number 89, Tyke Smith, defensive back, Georgia. They had another pick in round 3 at number 92. They get Jalen McMillan, a wide receiver from Washington. Then in round number 4, pick number 125, Bucky Irving from Oregon, running back. Round 6, number 220 is Elijah Klein. He's a guard from UTEP. And then round number 7 to close it out, tight end from Washington, Devin Culp. Jason Light has a thing for Washington grads. We have kind of seen that the past couple years, and he usually tends to be right. They do get a lot of dogs, but I've went through a lot of the draft grades. Bucs have kind of hovered around a B+ to A-. That's what I've seen. And me personally, man, maybe we can get the draft grades in a little bit. Let's talk.
Yeah.
Let's go in and talk about
yeah.
it. Let's talk about the first overall pick, your new center, Graham Barton, because we saw this season Ryan Jensen suffered an injury. He was out for the entire year, could not get healthy, come back, and he unfortunately had to retire. And we saw Robert Hainsey take the reins. He's a younger guy, but the Bucs struggled mightily on the offensive line. The Bucs had a 59% run block win rate and a 90.7% pass block win rate, and that was 26 out of 32 among centers. So the need was there. I think we can all agree, we've talked about on the episodes a lot, the run game just was not that good. It got better towards the end of the year, but they definitely struggled. The Bucs needed somebody to really solidify the offensive line, and they did that with Graham Barton. He's played multiple positions, actually. He's a super athletic guy. He's played tackle, guard, but most of his snaps came at center, and it looks like that's where the Bucs are going to put him. So, I guess what are our thoughts about it? First pick.
I think
Love
it's a
it.
slam dunk.
Love it.
Yeah. I think it's a slam dunk. I think this was the biggest need. I know some people thought corner, some people thought edge. I just think interior offensive line was such a weak part for the Bucs. And like Will mentioned, it got better at the end of the year. it got better. It didn't get good. I mean, we were happy to see the Bucs rush for 75 yards in the game.
Yeah.
That was truly the number where we were like, all right, at least we kept the defense honest and we helped Baker out. That now with the picks that they made, getting Barton, getting Klein, and signing people on free agency, the Bucs have put an emphasis on winning in the trenches. I mean, Graham Barton's from Duke. I know a lot of you guys, if you don't follow college football like that, you might be thinking, oh, Duke, that's not a football school. That's just a bunch
Maybe
of...
just you SEC haters.
No, okay, well, I was going to give him props before he even started talking, but whatever. I won't say anymore. No, Duke last year had a really physical football team. They averaged 167.2 yards per game, and Barton was the spearhead for that attack. He is a great run blocker. He's good enough to be a good pass blocker too from the center position. But I am so excited to see him stem this Bucs running game. Kick out blocks, double teams, stuff like that. He's really good at it. He's strong hands. I read about 5 things on him. No one would shut up about his strong hands. So I'd like to hold him maybe. I don't know.
All right.
Okay,
All
but
right,
okay. Seriously.
Thank you for watching, guys.
Seriously, this is. I think this is a great.
Here.
I think it's a great pick for the Bucs, and I'm excited to see what this does for our rushing game.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree. I think I was reading somewhere that the Bucs were dang near last in rushing yards per game, and just rushing yards overall. I think you look at Baker too. You have an athletic guy at QB. He gets the opportunity to run. He's going to go with it. So I think that just kind of filling that hole is going to help us a lot. Take some pressure off of Baker in general. Let him get the ball out. Give him some time. Give us some time to rush the ball. Create plays. Just all around. I think that's a massive improvement. Like Will said, it's unfortunate what happened last season, but I think this is a big hole that needed to be filled, and I think it was a great pick for us in the first round.
If this doesn't give you chills, I don't know what does. Jason Light described Graham Barton as a mix of Ali Marpet, Ryan Jensen, and Tristan Wirfs. That's 3 of the greatest Bucs offensive linemen in their history. If that doesn't give you chills and doesn't get you excited, I don't know what does.
Yeah, per all the combine statistics and stuff like that, he is the most athletic center in NFL history. So if that doesn't give you chills, I don't know what will. This guy will most likely be, if I wanted to put money on it right now, I'm saying this guy has a 10 to 12 year career, multiple Pro Bowls.
Rumor has it he's the reason Jason Kelce retired.
Yeah.
He knew he couldn't compare.
Yeah, 100%. There's going to be a new best center in the league title, and it's going to Graham Barton this year.
All right.
Do they give Rookie of the Year to O-lineman? They might just have to do it this year.
With Graham Barton, baby.
Now we get to pick number 2, Chris Braswell. He is going to be an edge. He's an outside linebacker. Some key departures this year. We know we got rid of Shaq Barrett. The Bucs single-season sack leader is no longer with us. He moved to Miami to play with the Dolphins.
Still alive. Alive.
He's no longer with us on the Bucs.
He's no longer with us on the field, but
Yeah.
he's with
Miami.
physically. He's with us.
We also saw the Bucs bring in Randy Gregory to get some pass rushes, and we know we have Yaya Diaby out there, and we have Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. So we'll see what this guy can do. I'm hoping he can battle for a starting job. I don't know if Randy Gregory will be the starter. I think Yaya Diaby will be on one side for sure, and then I think that other side could be wide open between the other 3, between JTS, Braswell, and Gregory. And I'm hoping Braswell wins it. He's a physical guy, and he is lightning fast. When he blocked a field goal and returned it against Texas A&M last year, he clocked at 21.8 miles an hour. The fastest ever speed in the NFL was Tyreek Hill at 22.1. He is lightning fast.
Yeah.
And this guy's coming off the edge. This could be one of the best picks from the second round.
Yeah, I watched that video of him taking back that blocked field goal. Bro was scooting on that play. I mean, he is fast. He had athletic freak, long arms. He already has a lot of established pass rush moves that he can do. I think he's in a great spot to at least be getting the third down reps and the pass heavy reps in this Bucs defense. I think he's a great pairing. He's athletic enough to be on the outside for that 3-4 Bucs defense. And he had 8 sacks. And 8 sacks is impressive, but it's even more impressive when you go to the fact that he wasn't starting last year in Alabama. There was 2 really good ends in front of him, experienced guys, and he still had 8 sacks. He, I think, had the third highest pressure rate in the SEC in the past 2 years.
Yes,
and
third highest.
So this guy is going to pressure the quarterback, and that's something we've been asking for the Bucs for so long. I think it's a great pickup. I think even if JTS and him are kind of swapping off, he's getting those rundowns. JTS is getting the rundowns, and Braswell is getting the pass rush downs. I think that's a great pairing and a great make that position becomes more of a strength and a weakness for the Bucs headed into 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you guys said, I see an extremely athletic guy that's going to fill a hole. And I think that's really what the Bucs were aiming for this entire draft, was just filling holes. Like you said, we needed more pressure on opposing QBs, and that's what we got. This guy runs 21 miles per hour, which I don't even know if I can bike that fast. Okay, so this guy is cooking.
You can't.
I can't. I can't. I would hurt
No.
myself, first of all, is what would happen. But regardless, this guy's going to fill a hole for us. And like Colby said, those third down opportunities that he had, he performed extremely well. And I think he's going to do the same thing for the Bucs given the opportunity.
All right, now we get to our third round pick number 89, Tyke Smith, defensive back, Georgia. Per my sources, looks like the Bucs are going to want him to compete at nickel, which was played primarily by Christian Eisen last year. He was an undrafted free agent out of Rutgers. So that could be an interesting battle. He played Tyke Smith played 80% of snaps in slot at Georgia last year. Not a whole lot on this guy. I didn't really see the Bucs going after corner in round 3, but they did. Smith, let's look at some of his stats. He was targeted on 9% of his coverage snaps since 2022, but has held opposing quarterbacks to 2.8 yards per attempt in that span. That's pretty locked down, if you ask me. I guess, what are your thoughts on this guy? Because I don't know. I was pretty big on Christian Eisen. I thought he played phenomenal last year. This might be one of the biggest battles we see in camp, maybe.
Yeah, I think what they're kind of going for this guy is, I'm pretty sure Tyke Smith had 4 interceptions last year. So if you look back a couple years ago to Mike Edwards and the role that he played for the Bucs, kind of being that playmaker in the slot, kind of moving all around, just getting into the position to make plays. I think that's what they're going for with this pick. He's an explosive guy. I think he can cover, like you said, those stats that you just mentioned, and he can create turnovers, which is something that the Bucs kind of started off strong last year, but as the season kept going, the turnovers were less and less. And I think getting that kind of that spot, because Mike Edwards, I know he would bust some coverages, but man, he made big game-changing plays. I mean, I remember that one Falcons game. I think he had 2 or 3 interceptions, a pick 6 in that game. And I think a playmaker on defense is always going to be good. He's a Georgia guy. As much as I hate to say it, those guys usually turn out to be good in the NFL. So I know it kind of might have been a little surprising, but looking at kind of the measurables and the type of player he is, I think it's a good pick, and I think it will be a good asset for Todd Bowles, another weapon for Todd Bowles to use at the very least.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you here, Will. I don't really know if I am fully with this pick. I don't think that it's a bad thing by any means. I think that maybe the pick could have been used for something better. I don't know if this was like kind of a last minute thing where they're trying to leverage maybe a trade or something, but I think that what Colby said is really valuable. I think that this guy can make plays. He can create turnovers, create opportunities for us on defense that we kind of started to see us not having last season. And I think that that's something that we could really use. And I think that this is going to be something that's interesting to watch in camp. Maybe the Bucs see something in this guy that they really like. Like you said, the stats were there, right? He can cover. The stats were there. Maybe they see something in him that they really like. And like you said, he's from Georgia. So unfortunately, that means he's going to be good.
Well, and also, I don't know if this is kind of a crazy thing. I never played football. I never was a nickel corner or an outside corner. But I know the Bucs are high on Zion McCollum, and I'm blanking on the guy they got from the Jets. But that guy could be a starter.
Murphy.
Byron Murphy could be a starter outside. But I would be interested to see if one of these guys could potentially make the transition to outside corner, more looking at Christian Eisen. I feel like his coverage stats or snaps were really good this season. I think he could be a candidate if this guy is, the pure nickel guy, the playmaker down there. If maybe you move Christian Eisen and he is able to bring those covering abilities to the outside. Could just be an option for the Bucs that they're mulling right now.
Mm-hmm.
And then get into my favorite pick of the draft. This next one, I love this one.
You might love it, but I think this is a little bit of a head scratcher. Round 3, pick number 92. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Jalen McMillan, wide receiver from Washington. What's kind of interesting about this one, we've obviously seen. I don't know if we've seen Russell Gage. He wasn't really on the field a whole lot, but the Bucs did not want to pick up his option for this year. And Chris Godwin is entering his final year of his contract, so I guess that might have some implications that the Bucs are looking to move on from Chris Godwin in the offseason. But this is what they did. They picked Jalen McMillan. He's pretty athletic wide receiver out of Washington. One of the most explosive offenses this year, led by Michael Penix, a quarterback, who is now in our division too. I don't know.
Little Falcons.
But yeah, wasn't too happy about this pick because I feel like I don't know if we necessarily need a wide receiver right now. To be honest with you, I'm not super happy with this because I think, like we said, we have Mike Evans coming off a great year. Chris Godwin's in the last year of his contract. Maybe we don't keep him, but we still have him for this year. And then I liked what I saw from Trey Palmer, who the Bucs got in the draft last year in the 6th round. And then I also like Devin Tompkins. So I'm not sure where this guy's going to fit in to the team this year as far as playing time, but that's the pick the Bucs made. I guess you're pretty hyped up about him.
I am. I think for all the reasons you mentioned with the contract with the Chris Godwins, he's getting older. I think this is a smart pick for the future, but I do think this could help now. There we go. I think this could help now. I think when you look at the Bucs last year, there was a lot of times where they just lacked explosiveness. I know you got Rachaad White, but Chris Godwin's lost a step. Mike Evans is going up for those jump balls, but they lacked explosiveness. Trey Palmer.
Mike's still burning the tops off of the defense, though.
Yeah, but Mike Evans is Mike Evans. You got to have it on the other side, and I didn't see enough consistency from Trey Palmer in his first year to kind of fall in love with him as wide receiver 3. I think this guy, he has all the tools. He's tall. He can catch the ball. He can get yards after the catch. I think this is a really good pick for the Bucs' future. And for right now, he's an explosive player. He runs the post route phenomenally, and that's one of Baker's best balls he throws. I think he's going to fit really well. He might be taking some of the reps of David Moore and Devin Tompkins, but I think he can do a better job at that and probably become wide receiver 3 this year. I'm really high on this guy. I think it's going to be a really good pick for the Bucs.
Yeah, I'm going to have to side with Colby here, actually. I really like what I see out of this guy. We want another target for Baker, somebody that's really explosive. And let's just face the facts, man. Mike Evans is only getting older. He's only getting older. We still see Mike Evans, right? He's still there. He's still incredible, one of the best receivers in the league. But he's only getting older. I think that you start to get a new, younger core of wide receivers that can work. Like Colby said, he runs that post route incredible. That's perfect for Baker. I think he fits with us really well. And like you said, Godwin's on his last year. I don't know what's happening there. I don't know if we're planning on re-signing or not. But it's definitely looking like we're moving in the direction of not. And I think that this is a good pickup to kind of fill a role.
And another thing to remember last year, Baker Mayfield and Chris Godwin never really fully got on the same page. I know you're hoping for with a full year of playing together, they get fully on that same page. But Chris Godwin was never really Baker's favorite target. They never really fully got on the same page like Chris Godwin got with Tom Brady or Jameis Winston. So, this new guy, this new kid could become a favorite target for Baker. He could just have a better rapport with him. The routes he runs could be better. Anything like that. I don't know. I'm not a quarterback. I'm not a receiver. And also another thing is, even if McMillan doesn't contribute this year, he's going to be under Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Those are two great mentors that he can learn from this year and take it to the next steps of his career, even if he's not a huge contributor this year. But I do think, me personally, I think he will be, with his explosive plays, will be a contributor this year and make the Bucs offense just that more deadly.
Yeah. Yeah, and to kind of go back to your point, I mean, you read up on this guy and everything that you see is just screaming good at running routes, right? He's a great route runner, and that's something that's really important to us. And I think that having Baker, who's kind of established himself but still has that swag, that kind of young guy mojo, right? He played really well for us last year, turned the team around when we didn't think we could. I think you pair him up with another young guy like that, and that's going to be a formula for success. So,
All right, we get to round 4, pick number 125. Bucky Irving, running back from Oregon. I mean, this guy has the stats, man. 1,000 yards back-to-back seasons with Oregon, 11 touchdowns in 2023, 144 broken tackles, which led the FBS in 2022. 7.5 yards per rush, 56 receptions last year, which led the FBS out of running backs. But for me, it's a head scratcher, man, because I think I know the Bucs have had the worst rushing yards per game in the last 2 seasons, but I wouldn't necessarily blame that at all on the running backs. I think that's been specifically an offensive line problem, and like I said, I mean, getting rid of playoff Lenny didn't fix it. They were still bad this year. But I like Rachaad White. I like how he runs. I think Chase Edmonds is a really awesome second back, and I like how he can how they can use him in the backfield and more the passing game. I think they should use him more. I think they should use Chase Edmonds more in the passing game. So we get this guy in round 4. I don't know if we're gonna see him as a starter. I don't even know if we'll see him as round 2. This one's kind of a head scratcher for me as well. But I assume you love him.
I'm going to go LeBron James mode here and tell you guys that I always loved Bucky Irving. And that's actually a true statement. I feel like we talked about Oregon a few times back in the fall when we were talking college football. I've always loved the way this guy runs. I think, what's his nickname? Slippery? Slippery is his nickname. The way he breaks tackles, he's a small guy, 5'5", but he's just he has the right. He didn't test out good. That's why I think he dropped all the way to the 4th round. I think he ran a 4.55 40, which is, you're not blazing speed by that. But just watching this guy play football, the way he finds the hole, the way he breaks tackles, I think he could be a valuable. Even if he's not the biggest guy, I think he could be that tough yardage back that I think a lot of people have been asking for. And it might not be your typical, like the idea of a tough yardage back. He's not the 6'2", 250-pound bowling ball, but he's going to get those tough yards. He's going to squirt through the hole and get that 1-yard touchdown. And I do think, I don't know, the Bucs always seem to like to keep 3 running backs is one thing. I mean, I know we kept Sean Tucker, and I know that's probably a common thing, but you kept Sean Tucker, you kept Keyshawn Vaughn around for a long time, and I think that they're going to use all 3. I think having Bucky Irving to be, he can catch the ball, but I'm assuming Rachaad and Chase Edmonds will be more of the pass route reps from the running back. But I think having Bucky be able to carry the ball more will kind of open up Rachaad maybe to get some more passing catches and attempts and targets. That's where I'm looking for. Some more targets. And I don't know, maybe Mr. Lee and Cohen likes 2 running back sets too. Maybe it'd be a scheme thing.
I'm kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out here. I do think that, not to have a play on words here, but he kind of slipped into the 4th round, if you will. But I think that you think about the 40-yard dash and those metrics, and a lot of the guys that are running really well in those have extremely long legs, are lanky guys, right? They take bigger strides, right? Now, you look at Bucky, and obviously, like Colby said, 5'9". He's not a big guy, but you watch his game film.
Say 5'5". I'm
That-
sorry,
yeah,
Bucky. I'm
that's-
sorry, man.
That's bad. Hey, Bucky, we love you if you're listening. If you're not, I love you.
They listen. They play it in the locker room.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But
You listen
listen,
to this after the draft.
you watch his game film and he is exactly slippery. I mean, the guy's agile. Sorry. Bad pronunciation there, but agile. The guy's agile, right? He's defenders are missing him. I love the way he plays. I think that he's a heck of a ball player. He's a really good runner. I just like Will said, I don't see him starting. I don't see him as a 2. It's hard to find a place for him really on this team. I think Rashad White is clearly going to be the starter. I think that, like you said, targeting him in the backfield, just kind of for receptions and then letting him take off, I think that's what we want to use him for. And I think that the new added O-line is just kind of going to help with the running. And I think that seeing Rashad White really be able to get the opportunity to actually show what he's capable of this season with a good O-line, I think that we're going to see him start most games. So I don't see much of Bucky coming into the field this season, but I don't know. Maybe they see something I don't.
I will say, I do think this is the worst pick of the draft for the Bucs. It definitely is a position that you didn't really need. Like Will said, I love Chase Edmonds. I would have loved to see him get those secondary running reps, but I think Bucky's going to get them. I think they just like the way he can pick up yards in a tough pinch, and I think Chase Edmonds might be exclusively a third down back this year.
We will see. Round 6, pick number 220, Elijah Klein, offensive guard, UTEP. Something to note, the Bucs didn't re-sign Matt Feeler or Aaron Stinney in the guard position, which they split time. Aaron Stinney kind of took over and didn't let anybody else take his job the rest of the year. And then on the other side for guard, you have Cody Mauch, who the Bucs got round 2, I want to say. They got him in round 2. So, yeah, you definitely needed guard. This guy, Elijah Klein, on all pass rushes allowed pressure 1.3% of the time at UTEP. When it was a running play, he allowed a blown block rate 1.6% of the time. In 2023, he only allowed 1 sack. I think there's a lot of upside to this guy. He comes from UTEP in the middle of nowhere. Like, I think once you get to the bigs from UTEP, you see how bad UTEP was. And I think he's going to be coming with something to prove. He's going to be a little more hungry than the other guys. And some of these guys who are at Alabama and Georgia and all the SEC schools. This guy came from UTEP, man, in the desert. This guy didn't have all the great stuff that a lot of these other schools had. You know, he's hungry. He's coming in. I really think he could start at left guard. I think he could.
He could, for sure.
I know the Bucs got a couple different. We talked about that in one of our episodes. I think we did the
Off-season
offseason recap.
Yeah.
Bucs got a couple offensive linemen. None of them were really big starters, so I think that position's up for grabs. And I would love to see Klein get it, man. And then you think the oldest guy on that line becomes Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah.
I mean, we could have a dominant offensive line for 10 years. So
yeah. It is scary if that could backfire, having such a young offensive line. It could, but I'm with Will, man. This pick has a lot of upside. This dude's massive. I think he's like 6'4", 350 or something like that. Something insane.
6'4", 320.
320. All right. Calling people short and fat this episode. Good job, Colby. Yeah, 6'4", 320, massive guy. I mean, like Will said, good pass blocker, good run blocker at a school. Obviously, it's a lower level D1 school, but it still can translate. Massive guy. Got picked in the NFL for a reason. It's good. It's good to have depth there too. I think that was something we lacked in. And the Bucs overall this offseason through the draft and through free agency have addressed depth issues very well. I think they might not have gotten the big name other than Barton and maybe Jordan Whitehead, but the depth that they've addressed this offseason has been really impressive from Jason Light. And I mean, injuries happen, so it's good to have these people in these spots where they can help.
Yeah, I mean, I think this is a really important thing that we got in this draft. However, I will say, played 6 years in school, 24 years old.
Well, that helps the young thing then.
Yeah,
Needs more experience.
Yeah, more experience. However, not the best experience, I would argue. That's college experience, not
Look,
NFL
UTEP
experience.
is bad.
I
Like, just
mean,
a city.
I'm not seeing.
Don't talk smack about the minors
Listen,
ever
what
again.
I'm
alright?
seeing here is a 6th-round pick. I mean, I'm seeing a 6th-round pick. I'm not seeing anything spectacular. Nothing that I think is going to be really memorable. I think it's just going to be kind of more of a role guy that fills in here and there. I don't think that we're going to see him starting this year. Obviously I hope that he does, and I hope he performs well, but I just don't think I'm seeing as much as these guys are.
I don't know. Just the fact that he came from UTEP.
I like his name.
My
has a cool
UTEP
name.
is Charles Barkley San Antonio. But I don't know. You just come
We'll see.
play in school there
Hey,
and get to the
if he
NFL.
comes to
you
the-
got something to prove.
If he comes to training camp hungry, that's just going to make
That's
the
what I'm
people
saying.
around him better.
Oh,
He's
he's
too.
gonna
gonna
be
come
hungry.
hungry.
All right, closing out the draft. Round 7 pick, number 246, Devin Culp from Washington. This pick grew on me a lot, actually. Where they got him, 7th round. Fastest tight end in the 40 time. And I think that's what the Bucs need. The Bucs needed, you have Kate Otten, you have Payne Durham, but you really needed somebody who's a little more explosive and more of a receiving threat. And I like Kate Otten. He just wasn't quite there for me last year. And it shows that the Bucs had 502 combined yards from their tight ends, which was 3rd worst in the NFL. So I think they do need somebody who can catch the ball, be a receiving threat, and that's what he will be. He's a little bit on the smaller side, so I don't think they're really going to use him for blocking, but I think that's okay because you have Payne Durham and Kate Otten who can do that. But for a pass catcher, I think this is a perfect tight end for the job.
Yeah, it's no denying the Bucs got more explosive this draft. They addressed the skill players, which I don't know if we all expected, but this pick to me, it's low risk, high reward. Like Will mentioned, one of the fastest, if not the fastest, tight end in this draft class, and could be one of the fastest in the NFL. It could turn out to be, where Travis Kelce was drafted real low, and he's a small, faster tight end. I'm not trying to compare this guy to Travis Kelce. I'm just saying it's a very low risk, high reward pick, and you can bring this guy out for 3rd and long when you know you got to win routes, when you got to get open. He could be, anything. You can use him all over the place. You have the tight ends that can play off of him and block. So I think this is it's a solid pick, another solid pick in the late rounds.
Yeah, I think this is a 7th-round pick. I think he had around 200 receiving yards.
So you're not declaring him Travis Kelce?
I'm not declaring him Travis Kelce.
I didn't do that either.
No, I remember when you didn't do that. Had about 200 receiving yards, I think I read. Again, 7th-round pick. You see really good metrics at the combine. Maybe you think you can turn him into something big. Take a risk on him. It's not that big of a risk. It's 7th round. I don't hate it. I don't love it. I don't think that this is anything that I'm going to go to bed thinking about tonight. I don't think that I'm going to wake up tomorrow and think about this. I think we're going to get to the season and see where he is, if he's playing, if he's not, and if he's performing for us. But I like the explosiveness for sure. I like the, what was it, 4.4 you said?
4.47.
He ran faster than Bucky.
That's impressive. He's big guy, 200, probably 220, 240, something like that.
Let me see.
Bigger guy,
Well,
really impressive
yeah.
speed. Something we could use.
Froze. Laptop froze.
Will's cooking up something. I see what he's looking up. Yeah, I agree. I think you do have to remember 200 receiving yards, but there was another really good tight end on this team. I think Stover was his name, right? The Washington tight end.
I don't know.
I think Stover. Washington had a white tight end who was a dog last year, so he's splitting times with him. So you do have to remember that they had a lot of receiving options. One of the best receiving trios in college football. Got Jalen McMillan from there, and then also a really good tight end. So he wasn't getting as many targets just because of the talent on that team. But yeah, speed, explosiveness.
Yeah. He was 6'3", 231 pounds. Yeah, that's probably a little lighter for tight ends. But I guess I was going to go through the undrafted free agents, but we can probably do that for a later date.
Will, just tell them the one you really like that they signed.
The Bucs signed Kalen DeLoach, baby, linebacker, Florida State. Been through the ups and downs of Florida State. He was with the Willie Taggart era. Then he got to see the Mike Norvell era. They molded him into one of the most solid middle linebackers in college football. He's super fast, makes great plays. Watch his play against Clemson. That totally changed the tide of that game.
Scoop and score?
Oh, yeah. This guy is awesome. I just wanted the Bucs to get one. I wanted them to get one Seminole, and they got him, Kalen DeLoach. There's a bunch of others. I hope he makes the team. But I think when we're looking at this, we're no experts here. But I think we should give this a grade because there is one thing we have stats, and we just have our own opinions. And I think we need to grade this draft.
And Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I guess let's give it a grade. Who wants to go first?
Zach,
I'll go
hit
first.
it with us. What?
I will go.
What did you say?
I'll go C+. C+. I don't see anything that other than our first pick. I don't really see anything that automatically stands out to me that pops out and is like, this is absolutely incredible. This is game changing. I think that we made some important pickups. I think we did our job, but I think that there definitely could have done some things better. Could have done some things better and probably put us in a little bit of a better position for this year.
Will, you go next.
I'm actually pretty close to that. I think I'll give it a B minus. I think
80 flat.
Yeah, let me just say, like 80, or maybe like even a 79.9, and it gets rounded up to a B minus.
79 with extra credit.
Yeah, but I think Graham Barton, slam dunk pick. I'd say even in round 2, I think Braswell is pretty good. You did need a rusher. You lost Shaq Barrett, and that was one of the Bucs' biggest. I think it was issue 1A and 1B. 1A being the offensive line, 1B being pass rush. So I think those are good. Then you get a little concerned with Tyke Smith. He seems like a dog, but I feel like we kind of have nickel set. I mean, you add another guy in because they signed another guy. Let's see, Tavarie Thomas in free agency, and then you have Christian Eisen. So now you have another guy, but I'd love to see Eisen still take that position. Wide receiver, I get you're playing for the future, but you still have Chris Godwin for this year. If you want another receiver, why don't you use your first-round pick next year to get a total stud? That's my opinion there. Then Irving, not too happy about. I am happy about the last 2 picks, so that's why I give it a B minus. I think the Bucs missed on adding more linebacker depth, middle linebacker, because Levante David's getting old. Whether you like him or not, you lost Devin White, so you need somebody to kind of fill that room up, and all you have is Servace Dennis, who was injured for most of the year, and KJ Britt, who played up and down.
JJ Russell.
KJ Russell's in there too. And then safeties, corners, didn't really do much there. So, yeah, B minus.
Well, I am the Jolly Roger, and I'm going to be happy about something. Gosh dang it. I'm giving this draft an A minus. I think the first-round pick is a slam dunk. The experts agree with me. I mean, we're looking at all these drafts. The experts agree with me, so I don't know what you guys are talking about. First-round pick, Graham Barton, slam dunk. I love the Jalen McMillan pick. I think you guys are going to be eating your words in about 6 months' time. I think he's going to be a huge factor in the Bucs this year, and he's going to be a cornerstone piece for years to come. Bucky Irving was a little bit of a head-scratcher. I agree, a little bit high for him. I don't know how those late-round guys are going to go, but I do think they have some upside at least to them. And Braswell, I think, is a really good pick. I think the only things taking it back for me is Tyke Smith and Bucky Irving, but I still really like those players in total. I just don't know exactly what their fit's going to be right now, but I do know Jason Light has a plan, Todd Bowles has a plan. So mostly for, the first round, McMillan and Braswell, I think those are 3 really strong picks. I don't know if you can find 3 stronger picks You could, but 3 stronger picks from a team that made the playoffs last year in the NFL draft this year. I don't know if you're doing it. I really like those 3 picks, so that's why I'm going to give it an A- for this NFL draft. That's it. We got through all 3 teams. Now, dude, when Jalen McMillan goes for 500 receiving yards his rookie year and looks like a stud, bring it to me.
Look, I mean, I want him to succeed. I don't know how he's going to get playing time because I'm a Trey Palmer truther.
That's fair.
I'm a Trey Palmer truther, and I don't see how he's going to get wide receiver 3. And then even Devin Tompkins, man. How's he going to get
McMillan's better than Tompkins. Right
but
now.
Tompkins is our slot. He's not really.
I think Trey Palmer slides the slot, and McMillan does what Trey Palmer did last year.
I don't know.
Anyways, that was episode 36 of TB3 Sports Talk. Thank you, Cameron. Thank you, Zach, for joining us on the show. Follow us on Instagram at TB3 Sports Talk. Follow us on Twitter/X at TB3 Sports Talk. We've been active and posting on that. Will's on Twitter. I'm on Instagram. We're going off. We're going crazy. Thank you guys for thinking of Joel. He's going to be back next week. I don't know if we're going to have a lightning episode before he comes back, but for sure, next time we talk Rays and not Bucs because they're not going to have anything going on unless something happens. No scandals in the next week, Bucs.
We're probably good on Bucs till
training
August,
camp, maybe.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see. But fingers crossed, for real. But Joel will be back very soon, so that's awesome. Yeah,